Hey everyone, Luke here again with Pie Jams to talk about the weekly dose of manga from Weekly Shonen Jump.
Hey guys,
Yeah,
glad we're back on our regular time for this week, and we
yeah,
have quite a lot to discuss, especially about the series that you're seeing right now on the banner.
yep. Dr. Stone, for those of you who don't know, next week is potentially, because it hasn't been properly announced yet, potentially the last chapter.
Yeah, and you're gonna see that we are both in like major coping denial mode right now, and I think for good reason, but at the same time, all the evidence is saying it will. But it's just kind of so weird to think about it ending.
Yeah, definitely. Now with Dr. Stone itself, I think I've obviously for those of you who follow me on Twitter, you already know what's replacing it as my weekly review series. Outside of the streams, it will be Mission Yotsukawa Family, but I'll also be doing the backlog, so chapters 1 to 160. So Dr. Stone isn't going away from my channel anytime soon.
Yep. And I think the other thing, I don't know if we're going to make an announcement about it, but since Dr. Stone is supposedly going to end, we're probably going to have Akane showing up as kind of like our new series to talk about. I mean, we'll be talking about it this week too, just because Black Clover's on break, but we'll probably just have it as a permanent fixture now because I think we're both enjoying it. And
Oh yeah,
also, it's a good time for it to come into our talks.
a good time to come in, and and I feel like with Doctor Stone ending, I think that's the reason why Jump is kind of pushing Witch Watch, because surprisingly that's got the for the Jump cover next week, Witch Watch.
Yeah, it's its first anniversary.
Yeah,
And I think getting a cover for your first anniversary is pretty huge because like those are the series that you know they're gonna last for a while.
yeah.
So not surprising, and I'm also glad to see it. Will be some interesting stuff to talk about Witch Watch this week as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But first
But
anniversary of Witch Watch, last chapter, Doctor Stone, weirdly poetic because
yeah,
Doctor Stone,
weird.
of course, is like our favorite series in the magazine, and Witch Watch is another one of our personal favorites.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I've got quite a bit to say about some of the series this week as well. But yeah, I guess we'll just jump right into them now. So I guess we'll start with since it was on break last week, we might as well start with Ayashimon.
Yeah, it sounds good. Oh, and since I normally announce talk about chapter of the week, since it's not one of the chapters we're talking about, Sakamoto Days was, I think, my favorite chapter this week. It was quite amazing. I love the new
Okay,
villain that we're
cool.
facing.
Oh,
But
cool. Yeah,
and
and
Earth's Child, I have a feeling that series is going to survive a lot based on its twists and its take on the hero's journey. I'm not going to say it's something you should jump back into, but it has potential and it's being received well.
Okay, yeah, I kind of skimmed through it, and I know the twist at the end of it. I was like, oh, okay, but still, it that was kind of what they did last week. Was kind of like, what was the point of doing that if they were just gonna like, oh wait, that the thing that happened last week didn't actually happen.
I mean, I think it's just like the story is just telling us it's going to keep playing with their expectations, which is fine. I do like those stories, but I don't know. I'm still not sure what it's about entirely just yet. So that's just kind of why I can't give it any sort of full recommendation at this point.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah,
But
let me get up
Ayashimon, yeah, let me pull up
Ayashimon.
mine as well, and I should also write down the time after. Where is it? Oh, there it is.
So back from its break, and with Ayashimon, I don't know if you think this is actually going to last.
Oh, you think this is like giving you endgame vibes?
No,
Oh,
I
you
don't.
because of the table of contents.
Yeah,
You
because
mean?
of the table of contents, I'm just like thinking like it's been like at the back of the table of contents for quite a while now.
Well, no, I think it was only for that 1 week. It was at the very bottom. I think before that, it was like doing decently well.
All
And
right, all
I don't
right.
remember if this got a color page or not
You
after the
did.
first ones.
It did get a color page. It got like I think it was the color page of Uru.
Oh yeah, Aurora. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's. I mean, to be fair, I can't say necessarily safe because even Phantom Seer had that. But I think it's still an okay place. I think it might have just uh, been dropped for like one instance, but also that one week, if you looked at the table of contents, like all the new series were near the bottom.
Okay.
So I didn't think too much of it then. It's more like, and also I'm pretty sure like Sugimara is gonna end first. Frankly, I mean Doctor
Okay.
Stone is and Magu are both over, and so well Doctor Stone. I guess I'm still gonna say supposedly until we get that announcement. So that means that there's like still room for like the new series, including the piano series and our two new ones, plus Earth the Child, I guess now. So there's still like some room for them, and Sugimara is probably gonna get lost first. So uh, I don't know if I see an axe for it quite yet. I am hoping the piano one though sticks around because it's been doing very good stuff in terms of character development work.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard good things about it. I just can't get into it just because it's the art style really. The art style is so off-putting for me with PPPPP.
Oh yeah, it is very off-putting. It's I will say it gets better, I think, a little bit, but also, I mean, it's one of those times you have to remember Doctor Stone's early chapters looked very different than what it is now.
Yeah, oh yeah,
So
definitely, definitely. I won't deny that. Like Senku at the beginning in Doctor Stone, yeah, he looked like
he was
what
not
the
pretty.
not pretty, but yeah. Anyway, I guess we should
We should
just
talk about the chapter.
we should talk about
We're already
Ayashimon.
like 2 minutes from when I wrote down the time, and we haven't actually talked about it
We
yet.
haven't actually talked about it. All right. So back from the break. Glad the author has recovered from the certain virus that's sweeping the world still. Um, but yeah, so the chapter starts off from the end of the last chapter where we have the leader of the Tokorodo Alliance basically saying, "Yeah, we're going to protect Uru, Big Sis, but you two can just bugger off. We don't need you to." And he's basically his justification for this is like, "Yeah, they're going to be dead weight slowing us down and possibly exposing you to danger." Which, yeah, he's kind of got a point there because they've been in quite a bit of danger already.
Yeah, but I mean, he also doesn't know how strong Maru is as well. So,
Uh,
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, I still hope and wish for Todoroki to be stronger. Wait, did I call him Todoroki?
I
I'm
guess
sorry,
we just
Cotton to be
Carton, yeah.
stronger. But I feel like Morris probably would be stronger than most of the rest of his gang, honestly. So he just doesn't realize that yet. So I don't think this is just kind of the typical, oh, I'm being very protective because something happened to the boss that he isn't telling us just yet. So he just doesn't want any weak links, I guess. No one he
Okay.
doesn't trust. Because I have a feeling someone probably betrayed the organization, and that's what led to the downfall. And so right now, Cotton is trying to avoid a repeat of that by, like, I don't know these people. They could betray us. So that's what's it with him, I think.
Ye- okay, that's yeah, that seems reasonable enough. Yeah. I guess we'll just have to. Do you think it was Dopa that betrayed them or something like that? Even though he says that he was loyal to the boss, do you think he was the one behind the betrayal?
It could be, but it's weird. It's like he's almost too obvious. It's like the one dude who you think the is like being portrayed as like this guy is definitely the murderer. It's almost like not the always the murderer.
Yeah,
So, but we
but
don't
I
know
feel
enough about the organization for me to make a good enough guess. I mean, of course, Dope
okay.
would be the first suspect, but
Yeah, but I feel it's more cliched now to think that like, oh, it's not the person you first suspect. I think it's more cliched now to think that, whereas you could for your expectation be like, oh no, wait, it was this guy all along.
yeah, I want to say there was one story where I saw that happen. I thought it was fun, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, I do see what you're saying.
Yeah. So yeah. So getting back to the chapter itself, we cut to a flashback with Maru basically asking what happened with the previous syndicate, with the previous Emma syndicate. They all look chummy and that, and Uru explains that not even how or why Kion died, all anyone has to go off is the cops. Not long after, Akiri Dopo claimed the position of second chairman, and the Kyle lawyers went their own way. So basically saying like, oh, Dopo took over, everyone went their own way, and Koton was particularly close to Kion, and it's possible he got some kind of lingering feelings about going independent. So I guess maybe Koton sort of like might have actually feared Dopo in a sense.
Could be, or he may just want nothing to do with him anymore because of whatever happened. It's like you said, we don't know, but it's interesting to speculate.
Yeah. Just yeah. Was just seeing because I've sent a message to Sky said to say, "Hey, we're live." If he wants to jump
Cool.
in, yeah. So then we have the fight. It's the second in command of the Todoroki Alliance, this guy with the leather jacket and the spike. Yeah. So we have the second in command saying like, yeah, don't snap at them. That's a bad habit. If we take custody of her, she's gonna just force herself away anyway. So why don't we sell this in the traditional style of 1v1? And basically gives them an ultimatum. You guys win. You can do whatever you want, but if we win, we're taking Uru, and you two are. Okay, I've got to read it. Break them on the wheel, then we'll hang them off our bikes and drag them through all Shinjuku.
Yeah, which I don't know. That seems too excessive, but whatever. I guess that's just their way of doing things.
I mean, you could have just said. I mean, it could have just been like, "Oh, we're going to turn them to a bike and then just drive them and dump them in the field somewhere."
Yeah, I mean, but I guess it's just how Ashiman roll because their idea of death is different than, uh, ours. Because like they just come back to life eventually.
Yeah, and of course, Maru being Maru is like, "Yeah, I'm going to do this." So they end up setting up a barrier around Shinjuku. And through Central Park, and no matter what they do inside it, no cops or bystanders will notice. So basically, an invisible barrier, kind of similar to what happened in Doctor Stone.
Oh, but I mean, they've been doing this for all the duels.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then they set up the one-on-one, and the second in command's playing referee, I guess, and then actually the weird thing is it's not even a one-on-one. Okay, because like 10 is also there.
Yeah, it's more like a 2-on-2.
Well, no, I think it's a 2-on. Oh wait, yeah.
Yeah, because you got 10. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you were right. It's like 2-on-2 because it's Koton plus Waku. Yeah. I was actually misread that when I read the chapter because I was confused why Waku was there near the end, but it's like a 2-on-2.
Yeah.
You're right.
Right. So then we have 10 being 10 and saying like, "Oh, why do I have to be the one to do this? Why can't you transform Big Sis and get this over with?" And she feels like she can only hold the form for a minute, for a minute. And she's like, "Yeah, don't worry about me. I'll serve as your second and offer advice." I don't know why that just cracks me up there. Like she's just trying to think of excuses not to get involved in this fight.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty funny. And then of course Mara's like, "Okay, you got to man up and fight with me, 10." And he's just like, "Well, I'm not a fighting maniac like you are, big bro." But he's like, "Nah. Here's the thing, and this is what I want to talk to you about. I've already lost once, and in all the manga I read as a kid, the protagonist may lose once, but never twice." And I'm like, hang on, that can't be true.
Yeah. When I heard that, I was just like, Ichigo, Naruto, Luffy. There was some others. Matsuri. I guess we could add Matsuri and Ayakashi Triangle.
Oh yeah, Matsuri's taken several losses.
Tayo. I don't. Has Tayo lost more than once?
I'm trying to think. I mean, he definitely got losses, but was it more than one? I'm not sure. I want to say he might. Oh yeah, yeah, because he lost against Momo once, and
Yeah.
then he must have lost before then in the early chapters. So yeah,
Huh.
he's probably lost like more than once.
Yeah. And
So yeah,
Deco.
so this is just like wrong.
Yeah, it's like what series? I guess this takes place, I guess, before the 2000s. This Ayashimon.
That's true because he always refers to very classic series. It's not like Witch Watch, which again we'll talk about later. That refers to a lot of like new gen stuff. This or even Roboco, which refers to like the newest stuff ongoing. This is
Yeah,
like referring to a lot of the classics
yeah.
mostly. So I guess that's kind of what they mean. Like maybe back in the day, it, like Goku, you could
Well,
say lost to
that
Cell, but then
that
he
that
didn't
doesn't
really lose.
that well. Even Goku's taken a few losses, from what I know.
Well, I mean, I remember he lost to Cell, and I mean, I guess you can count. I don't know if you want to count the android fights in the
Didn't he
beginning.
lose? Didn't he lose to his brother at one point?
I mean, it's because he and Piccolo worked together and took out Raditz, so I that technically did take him out. So I don't know if that counts the loss. And technically, Vegeta did retreat, so it's like, did he really lose against Vegeta? I don't know. It's kind of like even Goku's losses weren't like real losses for the most part. I think maybe against Beerus was like, I think like one time I can definitely say, oh yeah, he definitely did not win this one. But yeah, I think otherwise old school shonen protagonists really didn't lose that much. So I
Yeah,
think Moro doesn't realize he's part of the new generation that actually takes some losses.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
weirdly enough, when I think about characters who like won through most of their encounters, I would probably think about Senku. He didn't have too many trouble getting over.
No. Well, technically, Doctor Stone's not a battle manga, so I guess if we're
That's
just
true.
talking about straight up battle mangas.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, oh yeah, and then I was gonna say with Deku, he lost against Todoroki. I
Yeah,
remember that, and then I'm pretty sure he lost
he
against.
he lost
Uh,
against Stain, didn't he? Or
yeah, I guess kinda. Yeah.
kind of, yeah. Uh, he definitely lost against Bakugo at one point. No, yeah, he lost against Bakugo during their fight after All Might lost his
Oh, because
powers.
Ida, yeah, technically. Oh yeah, yeah. I guess if you want to count that one, sure. Yeah. So basically, newer generation protagonists are taking a lot more out, unless you're Senku, then
Yeah,
you're just too good.
yeah. Even some of the classic, like I remember Gon taking a Gon. Well, I guess
Well,
he
he
won.
did lose against that one. I'm
He
forgetting
lost
his
against
name right
he
now.
lost against
The
Hisoka.
gangster.
He lost against
Oh yeah, he
Hisoka.
did. Yeah, he lost against Hisoka and he lost against. Okay, I'm good. Look this up real quick. Uh, Enter Pompadour. I literally remember him as the guy with the
The
pompadour.
guy with the pompadour.
Knuckle. Yeah,
Knuckle.
yeah, he
Right.
lost against Knuckle, and you're right, he lost against Hisoka before. So yeah, you're right. So yeah, okay, Inamaro doesn't need enough manga.
Yeah, he really doesn't. I guess he just reads manga that he thinks look cool.
Mm-hmm. He's not like a. Okay, so yeah, this was a whole discussion, but I think it's a fun one
It was
because
a fun
like just
discussion
Maru
because it
always
just
has these lines that makes no
yeah, it just
sense.
I think it just solidifies just how like this is basically if Taiju was was the main character of a battle manga.
Oh yeah, I mean, except he Taiju is a pacifist by nature, so I feel like if Taiju was a protagonist, he would try to find non-violent ways to like fight people, and his main thing, like some protagonists, their big thing is, oh, I'm so fast, like Iruma, for example, from Welcome to Demon School. But
Okay.
like Taiju would be defense. He's like, yeah, I can just take all. Oh yeah, like Bofuri, for example, like he'd be a defense-based character, I think.
Okay. I was just using Taiju just because Taiju not the sharpest tool in the shed. In fact,
Also true.
I don't even think he's in the shed half the time.
Yeah, but as I said, even when he woke up against the Medusa, it was like 6 months after Senku. So,
Right.
but yeah,
Anyway,
anyway,
but
continuing onward
yeah,
with the chapter. So he basically is just fighting for his own pride at this point, not just Ura. And so, and then Koton just doesn't care because he's just like, I'm going to show you what real speed is. or something. Then they do a little battle cry thing. The panels next. I like how this author has like a very minimalist style. He just shows just enough to
Yeah.
kind of just convey this is what's going to happen. It's very different than like what Dr. Stone does, which is a hyper detail. But I don't mind this. I don't mind this so
Yeah, I
much.
don't mind this. This kind of reminiscent. This is kind of reminiscent of Kubo's art style.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah. So yeah, we have what's the guy with the beard called again?
Waku.
Waku. So we have Waku basically charging at what looks like an energy attack with a ball that basically just flies right past Maru before we get Colton basically speed blitzing through Maru.
Yep.
As we get the caption of what what he actually is, which is a yokai Iten Momen, which is a
Basically,
cloth.
he's a cloth yokai. I don't think we have to. And then he like apparently they suffocate people. But I did think someone pointed out something to me, which you may have already noticed yourself, but I didn't until someone pointed out. His name is Cotton, and he's a cloth yokai.
Oh my god, I did not notice that. Ha
Yeah.
ha, very funny.
Yep. So all these names are just weird puns. Some of them will be Japanese, so we won't know them. But this was a pretty good one.
Yeah. But anyway, I've just they wrap people around and suffocate them, and it's you see that's quite an interesting power to have, like especially with speed. So it's just like speed bits them, and before they know it, they're suffocated.
I guess so. It's interesting that they chose this kind of yokai to be like one of their strongest, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So then we have Kotan saying, "Yeah, there was no way you could keep up with me," but Maru being Maru is like, "Yeah, I'm fine. It's not like this was the first time I've been hit by a car, whatever."
To be fair, considering what he's done, that kind of checks out.
Yeah, that kind of checks out.
Yep. And so
this line's just weird from these two like bystanders. Like, good dance for us. Like, what?
well, I mean, the Ayashimon really like fighting. Like, even remember when Maru beat down the last boss with like a, I don't know, weird shaped cube head? And after Maru won, they were like, yo, dude, you did awesome. Like, I think they just like fighting. This is just the kind of people they are.
Okay,
Or
but
creatures, I should say.
okay, I guess they like dance fighting, which means they
Well,
love.
the dancing, I think, is because there's also like a drum circle going around them. So
Okay,
this is kind of like a dance. There's like a lot of Japanese like stuff that we probably are missing, but I'm pretty sure that's what the dancing is there.
okay, fair enough. Oh, you know you know who their favorite fighting character would probably be.
I'm
Like
not too familiar with fighting games, so you gotta tell me.
All right, there's. Have you ever played any of the Tekken games?
I have not actually.
All right, there's a character in that called Eddie Gordo, which is basically a character who combines dancing and fighting together.
Cool. Yeah, dance fighting's fun stuff.
Yeah. So anyway,
so they keep going with the fight, and basically, Cotton is just too fast for Maru, so it like kind of doesn't even matter how like tough he is. He's just taking the hits, but he can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of like Maru is basically like a pinball in a pinball game.
Yeah, that's a good metaphor. Yeah, Cotton's basically not even trying.
Yeah.
I do like his design though, like in his like full yokai form. Because if on page what page is this?
Yeah, it's kind
617.
of yeah.
He has like an engine coming out of him.
Yeah, in many ways, it's kind of like a bit like Sonic's design from One Punch Man.
Oh, that's a good comparison. I was gonna say Ida because of the engine, but that's also fair.
Yeah, I'm just saying Sonic because just of like
the scarf,
the scarf, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think of that. That's a good comparison too. I always like speed characters, so I think I'll like him once he's not being a jerk.
Yeah, definitely. Then we have Uru basically giving commentary of her saying he's too fast for the eye to flow. Marshav means nothing if you can't even hit this guy. And I love that because that's kind of like one of the things that people don't really think about is like when especially in manga where they're like, I'm the big tough booming guy. I put all my skill points into strength so I can punch really fast. I'm like, yeah, but if you don't have the speed, what good is that punch?
It's very true. I mean, in manga, we kind of just go with, oh, power level equivalates strength and speed, but realistically, that's not how that would work.
No. And then we have ten basically saying Mario Big Bro before what oh, I'm gonna keep butchering this guy's name. Oh,
Waku, it's
Waku.
fine.
There, it says right there, Luke. Pay attention. Yeah, he's yeah. So we have Waku going to deliver a punch. As Ten's like, oh, you put your mask on, and he's like, all I can do is ceiling wrap, but there aren't any ceilings here. Yeah, there are no ceilings. So basically, you're kind of screwed, Ten.
Yep. Except the weird thing is, though, we don't see 10. We see him get punched, but he isn't fully knocked out yet. So I wonder if he's going to pull out something for us. Like maybe he stole something that he can use in the fight or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm not sure exactly because his powers with ceilings is weird. Because also, it's like, isn't a ceiling kind of a matter of perspective? I feel like
Yeah.
it's like, can't you just like do a Mirio and just like go through the ground and just be like, oh, the ground is like a ceiling if your head was upside down. I don't know, something.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, we round up the chapter with Waku giving the evil ha 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 before we see Maru, who looks like he has been through another war for the 50 billionth time.
But he's also smiling, so he has either a plan or he's getting excited.
He is getting excited. Maybe I'm gonna guess that it's gonna have something to do with the tattoo. Like that tattoo he has now is gonna play some significant role.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Could be. Could be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was Ashimon. I mean, we had next chapter is obviously going to be a continuation of this fight, and yeah I mean, I'm kind of hoping that Maru doesn't win, but Cotton acknowledges him. Sorry if I call him Todoroki again, guys, but Cotton like will acknowledge his strength because I feel like Maru, like I don't want it to be like a point where Cotton's going to be just like reluctantly accepting him. I kind of just want to be won over to him because he seems like a cool character.
Yeah, he does. So yeah, that was Ayashimon. Looking forward to finding out what's going to happen next. So I guess with that said, we can move right on to Doran.
Oh, hey, Kama, you just missed us finishing up Ayashimon.
Yeah,
generally we like the chapter. We made fun of Maru and his lack of knowledge of manga, where protagonists lose more than once, and there was a speed battle, and we were kind of thought that was pretty cool that a speed battle is acknowledging like a speed can outdo strength. So that's what you missed.
Yeah, you've only missed one series, so you don't have to worry. Yeah,
but if you want to suggest our next one, go for it.
Yeah. So go for it. Because
anyone else who's also just lurking, feel free to recommend.
So yeah, Karma, what would you like us to talk about next? Give you a couple of minutes.
Because like we said, we only talked about this one, and I think you're familiar with most of the series. And the only real exception is Dr. Stone to save for the end. Especially, I think this is one of those weeks where we kind of have to.
Yeah, we can.
But
I'm just concerned. Oh,
10. Yeah, that is a good question. I was also talking about that. I think 10, like his abilities are ceiling based, so I'm not sure if he's gonna do one of those like undead unluck moments where he's gonna be like, floor is also ceiling but just upside down, or if one of those things he stole while they were in hiding, he can use to fight, or maybe some teamwork with Maru if they develop some kind of strategy. But you're right, I don't really see a way forward. I mean, Maru's technique is going to be, Luke thinks it's going to have something to do with the tattoo, and it might. I think he's just going to somehow pull a shonen. I'm going to be even stronger than I thought I was kind of moments.
Yeah.
Because we do know, thanks to Ura, that he is like not just an ordinary human, and maybe we'll get a little peek into what that is this fight, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Okay, yeah, but Kama, if you don't have any... Also,
Uh,
yes, Sakamoto Day. We don't cover Sakamoto Days, but yes, that was my chapter of the week. It was amazing. I love the new villain. I actually thought people were kind of overhyping him the chapter he was introduced, but nah, he's great. Also, I that one kid, I forgot his name right now, but that 14-year-old, he is such a little brat, but I love him. Yeah, Sakamoto Days was epic, but we don't talk about Sakamoto Days, unfortunately, comics. Luke doesn't read it.
yeah, and I've heard good things about Karma. It's just not for me.
Yeah, Luke did try it. It just wasn't for him.
Yeah, I
Which is
will. I
fine.
will.
I think
Yeah,
Sakamoto Days is definitely going to be up there, especially as Doctor Stone is about to conclude,
yeah.
supposedly.
I really, I do like the concept of the series, and I do then just go about it as usual. Okay, okay, and I do like the idea behind Sakamoto himself, how he doesn't really talk all that much. Pretty unique for a shonen MC, where they do nothing but talk half the time.
Yeah, and I also do. I kind of like what I was afraid about with Sakamoto Days is the whole idea of, oh, I'm an assassin, retired assassin, but I want to just live a simple life. Is they really didn't do too much with the simple life, and personally, I think that's a good thing because I think it would have just been boring if it was just a standard slice of life gag series instead of what it's a lot more narratively based around like the history of this man's assassinations and what he has to do for the assassination world. So
Okay,
yeah, I think even the direction they took, probably an editorial uh, a decision, I would think, but it was good.
all
Anyway,
right.
so
Yeah,
should
I
we talk about Kane then or Duran Duran?
I guess we'll talk about Duran Duran and then do a Carne.
Okay. Let me just pull up the chapter myself. Here it is. Okay, so we are on chapter 12 of Duran Duran. Okay, you can start.
Yeah. So basically, we start off with Jinchio's grandfather, Yusei, um, draw challenging Kazunagi to a duel with Stardust. I mean, interrogating him. So I had to do that. I had to do that joke about him having the same name as Yusei from Yu-Gi-Oh.
Uh, yeah, a friend of mine actually was rewatching, or not sorry, not rewatching, but watching 5Ds because they didn't actually watch the whole thing and they really enjoyed the first
Yeah, yeah.
season.
It's really good. It's really good 5Ds. But yeah,
Absolutely.
um, yeah. We have him. We have Yusei saying, "Hmm, so that's how you came to work for us." I suspect she was behind it. Now, who, do you think it? Do you think it is Jinchio he's talking about
That's
here?
the thing. I was thinking Jinchio too, but then someone else pointed out maybe he's talking about that one Mononoke that we saw was talking in the head of Hidehachi, if I'm saying any of that right.
Yeah.
That one boss Mononoke we have to fight because he's a veteran, and I wouldn't be surprised if whoever that Mononoke is was a problem in the past.
Hmm.
But it's interesting because I think he might know something about why Kusanagi is the way he is that he isn't telling us for now, but we'll probably learn later, which is
Yeah.
an interesting little tidbit to look into.
Yeah. So then we have Yusei saying, "Okay, you could go in. You could go in now, Dora," and I'm basically giving or blah blah blah. Let me uh he Hiniski you
Yuji.
oh
We're just calling him
Yuji
Yuji.
Yuji. So many names to remember.
Yeah.
uh,
Suke is how I think most people refer to him, or Hey Suke, but I think Yuji's easier for us.
okay, so we basically have him have Yusei saying, "Oh, I never got the chance to sit and chat with a Mononoke. I had so many questions," and basically treating it as like he's in high school. So basically asking Kusanagi, "Oh, what's your favorite female celebrity? What do you like to eat? Do you like?"
Funny enough, it almost feels like a reference to Jujutsu Kaisen because as a character who also, when they introduced himself, like he's a major character, when they introduced him into the story, he went up to the male characters and said, "Hey, what's your type of girl you like?" And
Yeah,
it's like, what? But yeah, that was his old character.
Yeah,
So I think that might have been a reference, but I'm not sure.
maybe I made even more of a reference the fact that he's talking to a character called Yuji.
Yeah, so that's why I think that's solidified in my head. Because
Okay,
Yuji was asked that question, and that was a pivotal moment in the story. I'm not even joking. Oh man, I love Jujutsu Kaisen. Anyway,
yeah.
probably
So
gonna be
then
my
we
favorite
have
series, I would think, after Doctor Stone ends.
okay.
I'll have to think about that.
Okay, so then we have Yusei saying, "Yeah, I don't sense that Kusunagi's evil, and I like to observe him in action. And hey, Yuji, I want you to team up with them and keep them under control." And we get Yuji's inner thoughts of him saying, "I never intended for this when I stood up for them. What a pain! But how can I say that?" And he literally just says it the way he was just thinking about it.
That was a good joke. This manga is like so excellent. I think in terms of writing, I don't care if it isn't like wowed me in terms of something unique yet. It's very well written.
Yeah, this guy Yuji might actually be my favorite character at the moment.
A lot of people are saying that like online, and I kind of get that. I'm debating. I think he's up there for me for sure. I haven't fully settled on a favorite character just yet, but he's in the running,
Yeah.
especially after this chapter.
Yeah, and Yusei basically says, "Yeah, only a samurai of your caliber can do this." Yeah, no, yeah, I get the feeling that Yusei probably knows that Yuji has a Mononoke inside his sword.
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say he's probably just feeding to his ego. But that's the other thing. This whole Mononoke being in your sword thing needs to be clarified. Because like I want at least Dora, because Dora was unconscious when that was happening. But I want him to like find out about that and just be like, wait a minute, why were people giving me such a hard time then?
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
explain that because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So then we cut to 1 week later, and Yuji's saying, "All right, no." Yuji's saying like, question like, "You're already fully recovered when it should have taken you 2 months." But Dora's like, "No, I'm ready. I'm ready to fight. But also, thank you for doing what you're doing." Jinchio told us. And you had to be extremely strong to defeat that Mononoke, and we owe you our lives. And my favorite joke in the whole chapter here with Kusanagi thanking Yuji and saying you're such a kind person. I'm really regretful, and he gets what looks like he's really pissed off them for even suggesting something like that. And Kusanagi's like, "Did I do something wrong?" And Dora's like, "Nah, you just such a stoic type." He like probably's like, "That was nothing. Don't bother praising me." Oh wow, what a cool guy! But no, he was trying his hardest to keep himself from jumping up and down with joy.
I do. I love that too. It was great. He reminds me a lot of Gyu from Demon Slayer. He's like a character who's very stoic, but he just wants friends. This is kind of like that, but done a lot more comedically.
Okay, um, yeah,
So yeah,
um,
like this series definitely takes a lot of inspirations, but it does it well.
it does it well. Yeah, and then we have Dora getting his quote unquote official samurai corps uniform, and again, love Kusanagi is just like bouncing up and down like a hyperactive little kid.
Yep, it is. He is so adorable.
Yeah, and then Yuji has to clarify, "No, you're not official squad members, but you're doing samurai work, so you're going to be wearing that training uniform from now on." And yeah, even though he calls them trainees, Dora's like, "Yeah, we're professional samurais now." No, you're not. You're not, Dora. Don't get too bring your ego down a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm glad he's at least happy with himself to some extent because this was what he wanted to do in the beginning of the series, which is weird to say because we're only 12 chapters in. But he did get in a way, so
Yeah,
that's nice. But I will say, I do. I was talking with someone on Reddit about this. I did kind of wish he would stay as like a kind of out of the organization for a little longer in the story before we got to this point. Kind of like how Ichigo was kind of like a substitute Shinigami, like unofficially for a while before Soul Society recognized him, that kind of thing. But I think in today's day and age, you're not reading Kaiju #8, but in a very similar situation, guy who wants to join an organization didn't get in, gets demon powers, and then gets to join in pretty soon afterwards. It's kind of like just the new way we're doing these kinds of stories. So it is what
Okay.
it is.
Okay. Yeah. Um. Hmm. I might have to check out Kaiju number 8 now.
Yeah, I my thing with Kaiju number 8 is I had like these weird expectations in the beginning that was going to be something super different, but ultimately it kind of eventually fell into similar straits as a lot of other series, but had great art and comedy and fight
Okay.
scenes. But then by the what's happening right now is very interesting story wise. So a year in, it's finally getting narratively interesting for me.
Okay. Fair.
But
Fair
yeah,
enough.
I would say at least give it a shot. It's kaiju fighting basically,
Okay.
and with a middle-aged protagonist. So
A
that's the big
middle-aged
hook.
protagonist.
Yeah, that's like the big hook.
Oh.
Dude in his I think his late 20s, early 30s, some of that.
Well, it would be. I'd say nowadays middle age would be like 40s rather than
Well,
30s.
I guess I well, I guess that depends how you define middle-aged.
I would
But yeah,
say
he's an older protagonist, however
okay,
age was.
yeah, because I'd say like the average human now is living until they're like 80. So I'd say
Yeah,
like
no, I see what you're saying, and then therefore 40 is that. But I don't know. People you used to define as 30, so that's kind of how it's in my head. But
okay,
yeah, the point is he's an older protagonist.
okay, fair enough,
That's
fair
like the
enough.
big hook that got people interested. Besides monsters,
All right, but
but let's get
yeah,
back to Durandar.
yeah. So then we have Yuji saying to Kusanagi, "Can you remain in this? You can remain in this form when you're at headquarters, but in the city, we can't have people seeing you. Can you shapeshift?" And yeah, Kusanagi is basically giving the face of like, "Yeah, of course I can. Haven't you been watching me or something?" Before we have Yuji basically explaining that he's obviously the top ranked Mononoke eliminator for 2 years running, and they're gonna be under his command, and they're gonna produce strong results or have to answer to him. And they're questioning like, what's happening with Jinchio? Where we thought we were going to be working as a team with her, and it's revealed that Jinchio actually is working over under a different samurai officer because she doesn't feel like she's strong enough to really be, I guess, standing as sort of like their trainer slash mentor figure.
Yeah, which is kind of what I expected, honestly. But it's still, like I said, a lot of this story is very predictable, but it's not bad.
Yeah. So then we cut over to the training room of the samurai headquarters as you just like, all right, well, let's see what you guys can do. So and we see him seeing Kusanagi turning into a sword for the first time, and he says to them, "I want to evaluate your real battle abilities. Come up with me with full strength as it is. I was a Mononoke." But of course, in his mind, he's saying they're daunted by an opponent wielding a real sword. Um, and yeah, that's understandable. So basically, saying that he doesn't expect them to come at him with full force.
Yeah, to be honest, I always found that kind of weird because they always want to be like, "Oh, come at me with everything you got. I'm so much stronger than you that you can't even hurt me." But like realistically, like I also like how One Punch Man did this exact same thing. Sorry if you guys can hear that on the outside, but it's like if you're gonna come at somebody with full force, you could like actually hurt them. It's not just gonna be like, "Oh, I can take it." It's like, no, no, you maybe can't. I remember in Hunter x Hunter they once did that, and Gon just was actually about to go full force for a character's like, no, 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 I changed my mind. Changed my mind. We're good.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you read Hunter. It's like right near the end of the Chimera Ant arc. Like
All right,
I
isn't
forgot the
it?
guy who's smoking. The guy with the glasses,
Oh,
the giant lung
Nova.
capacity. Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, he told Gon, it's like, Gon, you have to prove to me you're ready. And Gon's like, all right. He was about to charge up a punch, and he's just like, okay, you're good.
Yeah. Oh no,
Uh,
no, no, no.
I'm
Oh,
just going to look it up.
yeah. Just look it up. It might not have been Nova. I know the guy who you're thinking of now. I just can't remember his name.
Yeah, me neither. Sorry. No, wait, Morel?
Moro.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I think
Morel.
Moro. That was it. That was
No,
it.
no Morel, but yes,
Moro.
yeah, okay. Man, we're looking at a lot of Hunter
Yeah.
characters.
So yeah, continuing on, we have Yuji flashing back and realizing that he offended his senpais back in the day when he said something like that, and he's like, no wonder they thought I was arrogant. So he starts coming at them with full force himself, as he's able to push Dora and Kusanagi into a wall. But the thing is that he was going easy on them, which begs the question: how strong is Yuji?
Yeah, I mean, he's really strong, apparently. That's all we kind of need to take away from that. Because even Dora got pushed back, and that's not an easy thing to do. But it's
No.
also kind of great that Dora still got like a good hit in. Like he literally chopped off the dude's sword, which again
Oh,
makes sense because a lot of times in you see sword fighting anime, I'm always thinking, okay, wait, I understand how the person is powerful, but unless it's like Bleach where the swords are like magic or whatever, how is the sword not breaking? Like in Demon Slayer, I felt like the sword should have, I mean, they did break a lot. They did, but they should have broke more than they did. But like here, it's just like, yeah, no, like your sword just broke. You're not
yeah,
gonna take him on in a sword fight just because
definitely.
he could break your sword.
Yeah. So then we have Yuji saying, in his mind, with the Mononoke's supernatural energy and his strength, they're really strong. But the problem with Dora is that his sword play is sloppy, and he just attacks willy-nilly and leaves himself open. So I guess he's more like just like swinging his sword without any real technique in them.
And that makes sense again because no one taught him how to use a sword.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the other thing with swords. I swear it's like some people just pick up the sword and just instantly get good. Because Ichigo didn't even have formal training for a while, if I remember.
Yeah, he didn't. The only training he really got was from Yoriichi and
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Urahara.
Right? Yeah, so he
Urahara
didn't get
trained him.
anything until Rukia got kidnapped. So for a while, he was just like swinging a giant club, basically.
Yeah, and the biggest one of not getting any formal training, Kenpachi.
Oh yeah, but I mean that's like a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's a whole
But
other
yeah,
thing.
so I'm glad they're addressing this. But the weird thing is, I thought the direction this was going to go is that Yuji's going to be like, okay, cool, you might be physically stronger than me, but the reason I can beat you is because I have technique. And I thought, all right, that's a good direction to go. But that's kind of not what happened. Weirdly
No.
enough, they actually instead talk about his lack of supernatural energy makes his defense super weak, and apparently that's why he felt that attack because remember I think we were talking about it when he got that attack that he felt like it was hurting him from the inside. That's because of the supernatural energy. So that's why he was feeling that. So
Yeah,
since he has no supernatural energy, any supernatural attacks, even if he blocks it, he's going to take a good amount of damage.
yeah, definitely. But
So he has to fix that, or he really doesn't stand a chance.
yeah, but again, moving on, we have Yuji basically busting out a pen and using that to attack Dora. So I guess this is the pen is mightier than the sword metaphor.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That's a good spot. Good
Yeah,
spot.
and I love this is probably my second favorite joke.
I'm just gonna leave that in the comment.
What?
But keep going. I'm just gonna write that on the Viz comments. I don't think I saw anyone
All
say
right.
that.
But yeah, probably my second favorite joke here of the chapter is after he attacks yeah, Dora with the pen. Dora's like, "Are you for real?" And he's like, "Of course. I always carry a pen in case somebody asks for my autograph."
Which I also find funny. He really wants to be popular.
Yeah, he really wants to be popular. But yeah, as you said, the if the attack was coming from Mononoke, you'd be dead. But and the reason why is that it's actually because of the fact that he doesn't have supernatural abilities. Which could also be served which could also be served as armor, and the fact that he doesn't have any supernatural abilities makes his defense ultra weak, and if he doesn't find a way to overcome it, he'll be killed before he can produce any results. And Dora's like, "Oh, how can I overcome it when my supernatural energy is at 0?" And And again, how many pens does this guy need?
Yeah. I mean,
'Cause
yeah.
I thought at first it was just one pen, but no, it looks like he's got about 4 or 5.
No. He's actually just moving his hands and pen that fast. I didn't realize that till I saw the page either. But he's
Oh,
just showing off his pen skills for no reason.
all right, all
Because like
right.
because every time he has that, he also has a hand with him, so he doesn't have like multiple hands. That's literally just
Oh,
the one.
right,
Yeah, so
right.
he's just messing around with the pen to be like,
Yeah,
look how cool I am.
yeah.
This is just a great way to just characterize him.
I know.
Great.
So he's basically saying, "Oh, you got to figure this out before your next mission. If you don't do that, I can't let you participate in the battle." And yeah, that's where the chapter ends. So my theory about this is that since Kusanagi can transform, it'll probably be something of like he'll become the sword and the armor.
That's what I was thinking too. Seems like the most obvious approach. And again, as I said, the series is fairly predictable, so it feels like it will take the obvious approach. But I think that's kind of cool, like a
Yeah,
sword and armor.
yeah. Uh, oh,
It's
oh,
just that. Oh,
oh, no! I've actually got a better idea.
okay. What you
What?
got?
Okay. So I had an idea, like, because Tekken 101 did like, oh, design your own Shikai and Bonkai for Bleach when he was doing Bleach, and my idea for a Bonkai, like the character had, like, the swords would actually become the arms, so that would be the Bonkai for if I had my own Bonkai, and I was just thinking like, what if Kusanagi not only became the armor, but also turned Dora's hands into swords.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I can see that. Huh. No, that makes sense. And it would give him like a unique fighting style because that's what I was kind of hoping for. I was hoping that Yuji or not Yuji, Dora would develop like a new type of way to fight, and that's what like he's gonna have to actually use his head for once. Well,
yeah,
actually, he has been using his head. I shouldn't say he's not like as stupid as Maru, but
yeah. I was gonna say, who do you think's stupider, Dora or Maru?
definitely Maru. Maru is just an idiot. He has no idea what's going on, has no appreciation for the danger he's in. Dora, he at least came up with a battle strategy that actually worked against the thing that killed his mom.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, yeah, at least a little bit smarter. But anyway, I think yeah, that's a good idea. I like that idea because
Yeah,
it's a little more interesting than just an armor. It's just like a new type of weapon, and then he can develop a new fighting style to go with that weapon. Because the other thing they told us in this chapter is that Dora doesn't have one of those, so
yeah,
it makes sense for him to develop a fighting style and maybe like a unique but simple fighting style because he hasn't had years of practice and he doesn't have the time for it.
yeah,
This isn't a shonen where it's like we found the hyperbolic time chamber where you can spend years developing a new fighting style or something.
yeah. Because I've never actually seen that. You'd think that would be something that would be in a Shonen manga where you actually have sword hands.
Yeah, I no, I because I mean those are basically just claws, aren't they? Sword
No,
hands.
no. I
Or
mean,
'cause, like
like,
I was thinking of like what about Jack from like Black Clover? Isn't that
uh,
basically his power? Sword hands.
let me Jack Black Clover.
Yeah,
Uh, Black
or
Clover.
the captain of the Green Mantis.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Well, no, he has. Look, no, he has arm blades. So he has
Yeah, is
blades
that what
coming
you're
out.
saying?
But no, like his hands become the swords. So like he can't. So like so like his fingers like sort of like get together, and the swords come directly from his palms of his hands, not on his arms like Jack does, but actually physically his hands become the swords.
Okay, I'm trying to think. Does that still sounds familiar? Because I feel like I've seen that. Let me just check something real quick. Let's see, Prince. Okay, wait, hang on. I'm gonna send you. Wait. Nah, that's still. Never mind. That's just based on her design. I misinterpreted. Never mind. But I think I have seen other characters use something similar to that. But it's basically Edward Scissorhands. But
Yeah, something.
manga.
Yeah, something like Edward Scissorhands. But they actually just become. But they're actually just like swords. Like there's like two swords for Dora through Kusanagi.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll see for sure, but I like your idea.
Yeah, so that was what I had for my idea for Dora's power, and yeah, I really would like it if that actually came true, but we'll see, we'll see. So yeah, that was Dora Dora. Not really got much else to say other than hope my idea comes true. So yeah,
Yeah.
with
So
that,
yeah, that was Duran Duran. Do you want to do Akane next,
yeah,
right?
I think we could do Akane.
Yeah, cool. I'm just gonna make a note of the time. All right, and then I'll just pull up the chapter itself. Right here. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, the chapter with the first performance and pretty much every first performance is uh, anybody can relate to with Akane in this chapter.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably talk more about that
Oh
because
yeah, definitely,
maybe you have
definitely.
something about first performance you want to bring up with this, but or we can just start with the chapter. I don't know. It's your
Yeah,
kind of choice there if you want to
I,
bring up a
I
story or not.
yeah, we can just do it when we get to the point where I want to. So yeah, we start off with a character called Miss Ushino. I don't think we've met this character before in the first two chapters.
Yeah, I think isn't she like the owner of like the? I mean, I'll just double check this myself, but I thought she was the owner of the place that Shinji worked at. Let me see. I can just make sure. Yeah, if you chapter one, yeah, page like 6, like the place we see Shinji work at the first time, or Shinta. Sorry, not Shinji, Shinta. Uh, that was the lady.
Oh, okay.
She was the
Uh,
one who basically said it's like,
oh
um,
right, yeah.
yeah, basically she recognized his talent.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So yeah, we have Yoshino basically being confirmed that that the performance is going to be 20 to 30 minutes late, and it's a solo performance, and she's like, "Oh, not to worry, Master Shinguma found someone to fill in for them." As we learned that he's actually the number two at the Arikawa school, so that gives that leaves the question like who like what the number one is.
Yeah. Wait, no, it's that other guy, the guy who kicked everybody out,
Oh, oh
the
yeah,
grumpy
of
old
course,
man.
the grumpy old git. Of
Yep.
course it is. Of course it is. Yeah. Um, so yeah, we have them saying like, "Oh, it won't be a problem before we see Gui-chan come in," and he's like, and they're like, oh yeah, they sent you. Oh, I'm glad it's actually you. I'm glad it's actually you. This will be wonderful." And yeah, they're like, actually, it's not me, it's her. And I love the just description that you Yoshino just gives to Akane, that fact that she's young and she looks so flashy. Yeah, that pretty much sums up Akane in her teenage years.
Yep.
Yeah,
It kind of does.
yeah, and again, Akane, best reaction faces.
Yeah, I also love how she's just like acts super polite afterwards. Like she she knows like how to like carry herself, which is kind of funny, especially when what's his name? Guriko was
Guriko,
just like,
yeah.
"Hey, how come you were so mean to me?" It's like, "I don't know what you mean, sir."
I'm being excusingly normal, and it's like, yeah, don't you're not a very good liar, Akane.
I mean, that's kind of a problem considering she wants to be an actor.
Yeah, yeah. And so continuing on, she said,
Funny enough,
she's
sorry, just a
oh,
quick little
go
joke.
ahead.
One of my let's call her a supervisor, was mentioned to me. It's like, yeah, I can tell what you're thinking with just your eyes. He's like, and I told her, yeah, I don't have a very good poker face.
Yeah,
Yeah, I kind of relate to the not being a good liar.
yeah, Yeah. So then we have Akani questioning, was I talking? Was it talking weird? No, I was just being polite. That was normal. Very normal. Like, no, it was. No, it wasn't. You really were trying a bit too hard there, Akani. And yeah, this is pretty much every performer's like yeah, they'll lie to themselves. I've lied to myself, and I've been in this situation where where I'm lying to myself of like, yeah, I'm not feeling nervous, not no, not utterly terrified in the least. Yeah, my heart's pounding. Yeah, I've been there. I have been there, and I'm probably gonna be there in like a month's time when I'm doing 12th night, because it's like especially super nervous for me because literally I'm on stage right at the beginning of 12th night. So it's kind of like, okay, I cannot screw this up. I cannot screw this up. Yeah.
Good luck to you.
Yeah. And I just love the fact that I can't, like, just love how the artists of this series just depicts Akane just being like this tall, stiff, like robust person who's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. This is going to be easy, but it's like she's sort of like being an ultra stiff.
Yep. It is very well drawn. The comedy is really great in the series.
Yeah. So then we have everyone turning up, and they're like, "Oh, I thought there was supposed to be a one-man show, but who's this Akane?" Even yeah, even at those, they sometimes have a sense opener go first. Isn't it weird that the performance just has one name? And yeah, Yoshino is saying, yeah, that's a good question because she doesn't exactly know who Akane is. And we get a quick flashback of her being told about her with Guri-chan saying like, "Oh, I'm sure Sugarman has a reason for sending her, even though she's not technically a pupil. And the worst case scenario, I'll clean up after her." And we have him saying like, "Okay, once the music starts, you're hot, you're on. Can you hear me?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, 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 right." And again, just acting really, just like completely nervous before Giri-chan gives a cliched way of actually to calm herself by basically writing the kanji for the person's name and then swallowing it like a charm. Yeah, that's a cliche because I've seen that in like that happened in Kaguya-sama Love is War. And to be honest, I've done that myself.
Okay, interesting. I've
Yeah,
honestly never heard of this before, so it was kind
yeah.
of cool.
But of course, my way of like coping is like, okay, just relax. They're not here to criticize you. They're here to watch you perform. That's how I get myself relaxed before going on for a show. Like
That's interesting.
they're not here to criticize you. If they were here to criticize you, why would they even bother coming in the first place?
Also true. Yeah, she's not up to test right now. She's just getting on her performance. But yeah, I also like that line where, I mean, one, she goes through with all this, but then also when Akane asks, "Wait, are you supposed to be a good person or something?" He's like, "What do you mean supposed to?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like this guy has been nothing but nice to you. I don't know what you mean."
Yeah, what has he even done to deserve this?
Yeah, but I think she was just messing with him because
Yeah,
just to get her nerves out. Because
probably.
and she was like going on stage and like in an epic fashion.
Yeah. So then we have her approaching the stage, and she's like, "Oh my! I didn't realize that there was this many people here, and yeah, I knew there would be, but still, that's it's a lot different. Like she's starting to realize that yeah, it's one diff. There's a total difference between being in the audience and actually being on stage, and all eyes are on you. And yeah, again, can totally relate to that. It's like I've been there where I'm like, oh my god, there's so many people here. Why can't it just be my family here?
Uh, yeah, I've heard some people like to imagine just the people that they want to be there, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never done it myself, so that's just something I've heard. But I also do like how, as she's reflecting, even like the shop owner's like praying for her. She's
Oh
just like,
yeah,
"Oh my god,
definitely.
I'm
Like
super scared," because even she's nervous.
yeah, and again, something else that I can relate to as well is when Guryu-chan is like saying it's terrifying. I can feel my skin prickling because even when I'm not on stage, but I'm in a show as well, I feel just as terrified because I'm like, please don't let everything go wrong. Please don't let anything go wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I honestly don't know if I can do it, but I mean, that's probably something you have to like really practice at anyway.
yeah,
And
yeah.
anyway, I do like how she sort of reminds and motivates herself of everything. It's a little standard, but it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's nice to see. As she's like, nah, I chose to come here. I can't be chickening out right now. Everything I've built up, everything that exists inside of me, some of it right here. She's thinking about her dad, and then we actually get into the performance itself. And then once she gets going, she's kind of in a element here. She's kind of not thinking about the audience, and I think that's something that again a lot of performers do tend to remind themselves like don't focus on the audience as much. Like yeah, you're there to perform for them, but don't focus on what they're thinking. Otherwise, that's going to make you feel even more anxiety. So she's focusing more on her excuse me, more on her performance as we get commentary from people around her, with her saying with Gucci saying Raku isn't just giving a speech; it's the art of depicting conversation. Raku has to perform all the characters. Basically, basically being the one man show and present everything in order to make your audience laugh and get engaged with your audience. And not and Akane not only takes on the characters but also the animals, as we see her basically doing the depiction of a snake in the story, and this is where Jinchurun says, "Oh yeah, this engages the audience's imagination," and she's actually taken on the finger movements to raise the clarity and the quality of the story, which is something that I really like. I really like when someone can actually take on every aspect of the story, not just like, oh, I'm performing the humans, but no, there's animals in here. Maybe I should perform them as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's. I really think what's cool about the story and the premise of it is that a lot of it, the storytelling is based on the actions and expressions of the characters, which really suits manga. Like in comparison to like P6P, that one's a music manga, so they really have to like struggle to like show what the characters are demonstrating. I think that's one of the reasons it's gotten a little better. Now it's kind of really emphasizing the visual imagery of the music,
Yeah,
what it
I,
means. But here they kind of struggled in the beginning because it's like I can't tell what the character's doing, so this makes not means nothing to me. But here, even though we can't see the way she's like saying these words, her expressions kind of give us an idea of how she's probably sounding. I feel
yeah.
like in an anime, this is going to be amazing, though. if
Oh
it,
yeah, if this ever gets an anime, this will be This will be amazing. Like I could just see like visually that snake just like slithering around her as she's doing that action.
yep, and let's
Yeah,
see, was there
and I
anything
think
else? Oh yeah, I
and I
also
think
just love the artwork you just hear because it's
oh
both like comedic, but also shows just like a lot of emotion at the same
yeah.
time with each expression.
Yeah, and also as well, I like what you said there. I feel like this is why I could get into this more than PPPPP because this is more of like my familiarity with performing.
Yeah, I think that would make sense
Yeah,
for on a personal level.
on a
I mean,
personal
obviously, I
level.
can't relate to either in that way. It's just that this one is a little closer to acting, like Act Age, which is, of course, the series I enjoyed for what happened to it. So I'm glad to have another performing arts in this
Yeah,
style.
yeah. Also, as well, I was just gonna say, isn't this the same story that her father performed in the first chapter? Like one of the stories.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The lady we met is the same shop owner. This is where her father performed.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, but I'm saying, is this like the story where it's just like it's spiders for me? Oh, I hate them. Like, is this this has to be one of the same stories that were being performed by her father?
Oh, that. Yeah, I would agree too because let's see, what page was it? I'm trying to remember where the page was. I think maybe a little later on, actually. Yeah, I think it's a little later on, but on
Yeah,
page 20, the he mentions uh, the Giraku. Man, I'm gonna have to figure out a name for him. But the guy he mentions that 6 years is enough time to get this good, and so I'm like, yeah, because it was more than 6 years. She probably saw her dad perform this.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, getting back to the chapter itself. Guchui says, "Oh, she has the acting skills to make it clear who's speaking at all times. She's faithful to the fundamentals, and that's she has the pure talent for Rakugo." As we see her continuing the story, as we get the shop owner saying, "Why am I watching this far sees what I expected of an amateur given their performance? She isn't even a former apprentice yet. Why does this seem familiar?" And then she sees um, Shinji. Is that that was the father's performance name, wasn't it?
Yep,
Yeah,
Shinta. Actually, I was
Shinta.
sorry. Shinji
Yeah,
was
we
my
see.
mistake.
Yeah, she sees a vision of Shinta in a carney, and like you said, even with Master's guidance, it's only been 6 years. But yeah, it's been more than 6 years. Since it's been more than 6 years. Where since she's been watching her father and basically been mimicking him all this time. But yeah, I love. But yeah, again, the line I like here is when he says, "What happened to all those nerves before the show?" It's when it's like, dude, haven't you been watching? The crowd's getting into it as well, and again, that's something out like when you know that the crowd is like engaged in your performance, like laughing with you, laughing at your antics on stage. That's when you can relax a bit more and be like, okay, yeah, I've got the audience's attention now. I've just got to keep it.
Yep. Actually, this reminds me of the other performing manga. I think it's called Shoten. Basically, the one that's being drawn by the Death Note artist. He it's also had like a whole thing about winning over the audience. Like it's a comedy based manga, like stand up.
Okay, okay. Um, so yeah, we have Guchuri saying, "Damn it, forget about being scared of Marju. Akane is the most terrifying thing I've seen lately." Which I can I can relate to as well because some people have been like in the past for me when I've been on stage playing like a villain character, they're like, "Yeah, you were the most terrifying thing on that stage."
Oh, really? I think that's
Yeah,
a great compliment.
yeah, I like that as a compliment actually. But yeah,
Yeah.
we close out the chapter
Villain
with
characters are like my favorite. So if I gave someone that kind of speech, then they're like probably one of my favorite performers of the night. But at the same time, I also love how that dialogue bubble is next to this picture, which is just her being super adorable.
oh yeah, definitely, definitely. So then we close out the chapter with the shop owner giving her thoughts on it, and basically calling Akane incredible, and that's where the chapter ends. So my question here is, where do we go? Do we? I feel like my thing is that she's going to get a bit of an ego boost here. That's going to
Yeah,
get
because
shot.
we thought. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's going to get shot down when she actually has to confront the the head of the actual school itself.
Hmm. Well, first of all, French fries. I just saw your comment. Yeah, whenever you want to come back, that's fine. I'm not sure what we may have spoiled for you, but yeah, go ahead, read up on all the chapters and come back.
Okay.
And the other thing is, yeah, you and we were predicting this chapter. She was going to like maybe do okay, but then also like have a moment where she froze up, messed up, and was just like, and the teacher's going to be like, "See, this is what it's really like to be a performer. Do you still want to do this?" And then she would say yes, and then she would start training. But instead, we just kind of got to have her be really good,
Which
and even the
which
shop owner was impressed. Which this is like a place where people regularly perform, So they're very impressed with her work.
Which
Apparently, she's better than someone who's trained for 6 years. So, oh, sorry, I don't want to keep interrupting
it's
you,
all
but
right. It's all right. Which I can actually see because this is just even though it's a place where people perform regularly, it's still small. It's still a small place. So I reckon that once she gets on that big stage, there's I feel like she's going to get that eagle boost of like, yeah, I'm ready for the big stage, and they're going to be like, oh, I don't know about that, but she's going to be like, no, let me do it, and I think that's when she's actually going to get like the big shot down when she's actually on that big stage in front of like more than because there's about I want to say there's about like
I don't know, 2 dozen, something.
maybe about yeah, because there's only about like I'd say a maximum 15 people watching this.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's an interesting idea. I mean, definitely, like Maru said, she protagonist may lose once, but apparently only once. But no, really, I think she will need to get a bit of a correctional check at some point. Apparently, it wasn't now, but it could make sense to do it at a bigger stage.
Yeah.
I think what'll happen after this, though, is like the mentor has to take Akane under his wing, but and then I think maybe she'll train with the other apprentice, like they're like senpai kohai kind of thing.
Yeah. Which could lead into a romance. We just never know. I mean, I'm just
Well,
throwing
I
that
mean,
out
let's
there.
also remember she's like 16.
Yeah, technically technically that can be considered okay if it's just like a simple romance, like not that way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to do
But
it further down the line when she's older, maybe. But
yeah,
let's like avoid that for now because I
yeah,
think they made fun of it in the like, second chapters. I think that's their way of saying, okay, guys, we know she's a minor.
yeah. Unless he's a minor as well. Like,
I
was it
don't
actually?
think so. He looks older. I think
Unless he's 18.
he could be. He could be because I don't know. I don't know for sure.
Maybe, but yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say on Akane this week.
Yep, I think this will be a good regular series for us to follow and talk about,
Yeah,
especially because
definitely.
you'll have a lot to say as a performer.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
so yeah,
So
that'll
yeah,
be good. If anybody is still here, feel free to suggest something. Otherwise, we did most all the new series like we usually start with. I
yeah,
think we could do Witch Watch next because I think that's a pretty simple one to go over.
yeah, and I think that's one you probably want to talk about.
A little bit. There's probably more to that series than I understood, but I do want to talk about it.
Okay, so let me just get it up. So Witch Watch. So we had the Jeans chapter last week.
Yeah,
which
a whole
in a way,
chapter just about taking care of Denim.
which by
But the
the way,
weird thing is, this chapter almost felt like it was trying to justify it a bit because this chapter, the idea of Moy being very into his interests is very important. And
yeah.
actually, I just realized the chapter is called "A Freshman Witch and." Oh, so I
Oh,
wonder if that means the next chapter is going to be a freshman witch and something else. Like the second chapter title is going.
A Frenchman witch, and a senpai cat. Cause who's to say that
Well,
Momo isn't a year older than them?
you meant Neru,
Neru, yeah. Sorry,
uh,
sorry.
but
Um,
I thought she was the same age. It, but I thought it was going to be referring to. Well, we'll talk about near the end. But anyway, Witch Watch, yeah, chapter 51. So
yeah,
we start out the chapter with like the summer vacation ending,
yeah.
which I guess that was the end of the summer vacation arc. We
I
thought we
get
would get more summer shenanigans, but nope.
nope, nope.
Kidding.
What a
We
way
ended
to end
summer
the
vacation
arc,
with the jeans chapter.
which by the way, David in the live stream the other day said like, yeah, that chapter was weird because it got me to care about jeans of all things.
Yeah. Although Thurman and David both really enjoyed this week's chapter, and
Oh,
I will agree it was better than last time for sure.
it was better than
But
last time, definitely, because that
anyway,
chapter
so
was
That chapter
probably
was that
just
chapter
like,
felt like the author was just like, listen, I'm just gonna be super weird.
yeah, definitely. So
But
yeah,
yeah, so we started off the chapter with Kara, who's one of Nico's friends. Like, I guess she's also like the school rep or the class rep, and she's saying
yeah,
we're gonna do a school festival. And I'm gonna be honest, when it started with that, I thought I was really gonna hate this chapter because I really don't like high school settings for the fact that they always do like the same story beats with like school festivals, sports events,
yeah,
and like a
yeah.
track meet, like all like the same stuff every time, which maybe means more to people in Japan who've done these things. But for me, it's just like it feels like cliche anime tropes. But luckily,
Oh,
this chapter does save itself a bit because it kind of almost plays on the idea a little bit.
yeah. And
But oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm surprised nobody here just said, "Really? Why does it always have to be a cafe?" Because that is true. Why does it always have to be a cafe?
Yeah, it's always like a maid cafe. Comey did that. And I think sometimes they do like a haunted house. But what's funny is in this chapter they did both.
Yeah,
They
and it's
just did
like
both.
that's even more of a cliche. Like, come on, Japan, come up with some original ideas for a change.
I'm trying to remember like when was the last time I saw a school festival do something I thought was interesting with its school festival, but I really can't think of anything. Yeah, because it's always just a play on something they've done before.
Yeah.
I think maybe like the one time I could think of is like when Doki Doki did like a poetry reading thing.
Oh
It
my.
wasn't like super original, but it was like something different. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something different. Which, by the way, yeah, that game was something different.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But anyway, so then we're setting this up, and I guess like Moy at first looks super stoic, and it's funny because he basically put the idea of he's not super into school festivals. He'll join, but he doesn't feel the need to be excited about it. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm with you, Moy. This is gonna be dumb. School festivals suck. But then as soon as someone's like, hey, if you got any, the Kara said, hey, anyone have good ideas, let me know. And Moy instantly raised his hands, and I was very confused for a half second before he mentioned before they got into the fact that he's really excited because this is a cafe and he really likes cafes. And I'm like, oh yeah, we did know that about him.
Oh
Because he
yeah,
really makes coffee like every day. So it's actually kind of funny because I thought this is why I guess they wanted to have this whole chapter about the genes to kind of point that listen, when you just get him into something he wants to talk about, he'll be super excited, which is pretty classic introvert like behavior.
yeah,
I can relate
definitely,
to that.
definitely.
Um, so let's see, continuing onwards, then like Moy, since he's such a cafe expert, he came up with all these different roles. I'm gonna be honest, all these roles sound like they suck, but whatever. For in his
But
mind, they're important roles for a
yeah,
cafe.
they're important. They're important roles. Like, oh my god, oh my word. I have just thought of the perfect character that Moe represents. That Moe represents.
What's that?
Um, Arnold Rimmer from Red Dwarf, because it's like he'll because it's like he'll think something is the most important thing ever, even though it's like completely dull.
Yeah, that is actually a good comparison. We definitely
Yeah,
need to watch more Red Dwarf at some
yeah, we
point.
do at some point. At
Mm,
some point,
yeah,
yeah.
maybe
But
Tuesday. But anyway, oh, sorry, were you gonna say more? Go ahead.
no, I wasn't going to say more. I was just going to continue on.
Oh yeah, continue on.
Yeah. So then we have one of the castmates saying, "I'd happen to compose music at home. Could we play at the cafe?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, our own original background music, sweet." I'm
Yeah,
surprised
that
they
did
didn't.
sound like a good idea.
I'm surprised they didn't put. I'm surprised the author didn't put in a little notice there, like saying, make sure it is original music because we don't want YouTube copywriting striking us."
Oh, I thought you were going to say I'm surprised they didn't make a reference like P6 or something.
No, I was because they specifically mentioned original background music. Make sure it
Oh,
is. Make sure it is original background music.
okay. Yep. And then we got another student who actually is the way we would have expected Moy to be. He's just like, listen, this is feel school festivals are for extroverts to have a lot of fun, but the rest of us guys are just kind of cheap labor. And again, I would probably be in this guy's shoes, but I wouldn't be this vocal about it.
Oh
It's just
yeah,
kind of
definitely.
a jerk. But what's also funny is we also get all these classmates like listed, and I'm just like, I'm not going to remember these guys. Why are you still listing their names? You know,
Unless they're going to be important later on, like
Like,
unless they're all like Kago, like they're all introverts on the outset, but they all have that quirk where if they see something, they transform into a different creature.
oh, they could all be magical. That would be kind
Yeah,
of funny.
yeah,
But
and they all just happen to be in the same class.
and then the class just basically becomes Nico's reverse harem kind of situation.
Yes,
Everyone's
yes.
here familiar.
It really does feel like it's a reverse hair of this series at times.
It does, except it's really not, which I like. I like how it's not because I've read series that are basically that, and they're just as kind of boring as regular harems, honestly. But except less interesting if you're not into guys.
Yeah.
So anyway, there a bunch of other rando students said they weren't too excited, but I guess they'll come up later if they're named. The best part is like Kago was even like, "Listen, I don't want to do anything either." I'm like, Kago, come on, man, you got to support your boy here. I don't care if you're thinking that. That's your friend. You have to help him out.
Yeah, that's your
And
friend. Yeah,
even
how?
Moy is surprised all the introverts are speaking out.
Yes, yeah, but yeah, Kago, that's your friend. That's your housemate. If you, yeah, I'm surprised Moy's just like, if he doesn't help me out, I'm not making him any meals for a week or something like that, or he'll have to do his own washing.
Oh wait, no, they do their own washing.
Oh yeah, or he won't. No, he won't get to watch any movies for a week. That'll be Kago's worst nightmare. Like he
Yeah.
actually has to talk to people.
Yep. Anyway, and then they were just like, I wonder how Kara's going to calmly react to it. And she just starts yelling and screaming. I'm just like, okay, well drawn, but also not helpful. So then
Uh,
Moy basically just takes command because that's what he does best.
yeah, and then he starts getting
Then we get
really,
this huge flashback.
which again, not as much as some chapters, but props to the translator for this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially because I didn't know who was this was referencing. Did you know when you were reading?
No, who is this?
Okay, I'll tell you because I found out. This is Gintama's mangaka, Sorachi. He's
Really?
apparently known as Gorilla Sensei in some circles.
Wow.
So,
What?
so he Shinohara, the Witch Watch mangaka, was his assistant, I guess, to begin with. So this is his way of kind of paying homage slash
Yeah.
also like
The
messing with his boss, his former boss. Like, hey man, you used to be the worst, but those are fun times.
yeah, the fact that you've mentioned the fact that you've mentioned that the author of Witch Watch was the assistant to Guitar, that makes so much sense now.
It really does. Like it also makes me really want to like get into Gintama at some point. I mean, I already wanted to, but I
Yeah,
still
I
have
did
to.
as well. And Furman, I did say I was going to watch it at some point, and Furman was ecstatic about that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you know, kind of like One Piece. It's like going to be a whole adventure. And also,
Yeah,
the other reason I put off Gintama for is I've heard that series has so many references that I wanted to build up my knowledge of manga before getting into it, so I would understand those references.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
But yeah, so anyways, I don't really want to get into all of this, but the short version is Shinohara was the assistant basically in the Flash in this Moy's little metaphor story, and he really enjoyed school festivals, which is why he's writing about them. But Sarachi Sensei, who was just called Gorilla here, he really didn't like it. He was one of those people who just thought that, oh my God, those things were so dumb and pointless. I kind of made fun of those people back in the day as well. And then he makes a point that Shinohara is like, and now here I am making these lighthearted, fun manga, and there he is making really snarky, foul-mouthed, like dark manga. And so Moy's point to the whole story was that if you don't guys don't take this stuff seriously and enjoy yourself now, you're going to become really like dark and brooding adults who are just going to be all snarky and mean. And then they're like, yeah, we don't want to end up like Sorachi Sensei. We're in.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, that's hilarious.
yeah. And what else is hilarious is when they say whose chapter of what is that supposed to be a reference to?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably missed this reference. Except, so I think I enjoy the references that this series makes, even if I don't understand them,
Yeah.
because you never expect them when they come in.
I know you don't like the Gone Freaks one right at the beginning of the series. I don't think anyone was expecting that.
Yep, and now we just had a Gintama reference,
Yeah,
but
uh,
this was a nice homage to like his old mentor.
yeah. So then they're like, yeah, we've got a point of that. Yeah, he's got a point, but what can we actually do? And then we have Kara say like, oh, we've got Nico here. Nico can use her magic to give those who are reluctant something fun to do.
And then
And
she's like, "Okay, but how?" And Kara's like, "I don't know. I'm not that smart."
yeah, yeah, it's like I honestly, if Witch Watch ever got animated, I would honestly want Karo at that point when Nico goes how to just be like Gen was when Senku said, "I'm making a power plant." Just that image.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean, like that
Yeah,
one. Yeah, but it's like it's funny because like Moy is like literally, even though he's not even the class rep, is he's most of the brains in this classroom.
I know.
No one else has good ideas.
No, it all comes back to Murray. It all comes
Yeah,
back to him.
and that's why the student president wants him on the council, which we'll get into.
Yeah, yeah,
But I did like the idea of a haunted cafe, but I think you're kind of right. It almost combines two cliche things, and in a weird way, it feels more cliche because of it.
yeah, definitely.
I
Um,
really need to look into what other student council, or sorry, student council, student school festival stuff was not cliche. Because the only thing I can think of is there's also plays, there's music concerts. That's what Haruhi did, and then there was like fortune telling. I
yeah.
seen one anime that did fortune telling, but those
I,
are all very standard.
I think the least cliche one that was done, in my opinion, that had a cliche saying was My Hero Cultural Festival, where we had Class One B's play basically being Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, I guess there was that. That is true, actually. Man, we should have followed Class 1B.
Yeah,
Anyway, that's a different story. But so then what's interesting is that whole idea was actually Keiko's. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. He
yeah,
would come up with something super edgy like that. But
super
apparently it's not
edgy.
in a horror movie.
Yeah, and it had to be from a horror movie. So yeah, we have Nico basically doing what she does, and basically saying to people, "Okay, this is how this is going to work. When you go through, when you I've made a spell so that you can pass through walls, but only when you're holding your breath." And yeah, where somebody tries to do that and they basically bonk their head on the wall. It's like, no, you gotta hold your breath, but you can only do it for 4 seconds. So like, um, what happens after the 4 seconds?
Fall through the floor.
Oh yeah, she says like we'll fall through the wall, fall fall
And
through
I'm
the.
like, okay, so basically they're just setting that up because obviously this spell is going to go wrong once we get actually into the thing. But the other thing I was thinking is, okay, Nico, what happens if you stop holding your breath, like when you're through a wall? Are you like stuck?
I guess they are. I guess that's what I was going. That's the thing I was going for there. Like, oh crap, I'm stuck.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Nico, you have to think these things through.
Yeah. You're asking Nico to think things through.
You know, you're right. That was my fault. That was
Yeah,
my fault.
Nico doesn't think things through.
No, no, she
Yeah.
doesn't. That's
Um,
why every conflict happens.
and then we have
Literally every conflict.
the guy who wasn't hyped for anything,
Apparently his name's
Cujo.
Cujo. Yeah.
Cujo. We have Cujo saying like, "Oh yeah, all of you did. All you did was give the losers a pity handout to make them feel less bad." To me, that's nothing but the heart haves patronizing to haves not. But I hope all that attention doesn't earn you any hate. And then we see Mori getting really pissed off at him, basically saying, if anyone decides to try to harm Nico for any reason, I will do everything in my power to crush them, basically scaring Cujo a little bit there. So, so it's like Mori's feelings for Nico coming out there.
Yeah, and then we go on to just quickly summarize this. Basically, the school festival production committee, basically in charge, I guess, of the whole festival thing, they they wanted Nico's help to do the opening ceremony because I guess the actual festival committee are full of like really boring people who couldn't come up
Yeah,
with something more interesting. So they're like, hey, Nico, you mind using your magic for us too? And so then Nico, basically the whole gist of it was that Nico's being accepted in the school and people are asking help with magic in ways that aren't world destroying. And she's happy to help out like this. So yeah, it's a very nice moment for her because, like as they said, remember Moy said, I remember how before the school started, she was worried about fitting in, and now
yeah,
everyone's accepted her magic, and that is nice. And that
that
because
is
we are at the
nice.
1 year anniversary, so this is how far she's come.
Yeah, and of course, Moe getting really possessive here with Nico being basically asked out, and he's like, "Nope, you're not taking my girl from me."
Yep, and even Kago and Khan point out it's like, yeah, you're kind of being overprotective there.
Before we get the return of the student council president,
Yeah,
and he's
which of
like,
course you and me are happy for, but I'm pretty sure like those other people were like not super excited. What's
"Well,
funny is
to
I
be fair,
watched the Shonen and Chill videos about it. I was wondering what they were going to say because I know they weren't super big on them, but they really didn't even talk much about the chapter.
I get,
It was kind of hilarious.
yeah, I get. Well, I guess people won't mind him because he's only in this one part, so I guess it doesn't. And he does have a purpose.
Oh yeah, no, I do get that, but then it wasn't even just that. I was surprised there is some story stuff that happens from here on out, but they
Yeah,
just kind of mentioned like, oh yeah, they're doing a cafe. That was cute, and I'm like, did you guys miss the ending?
yeah. Did you miss the ending where it's like literally setting up the next arc of the series?
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that, but either way, was the student council president Otogi? He came in and was just like, "Listen, I'm here to give you this letter, and the letter says magic will be used to commit a crime at the festival." And
Yeah,
the student council president is just relaying that information. So what's interesting is that, like me, Khan thought this might be another warlock, but then Moy brings up a good point that it's like, well, then why would they warn us beforehand? It's
yeah.
more likely that someone's just going to set something up, and then we'll use Nico to take the fall for it. And I'm thinking, oh, that's interesting, and that might
Well,
be why we have all those student names because we might be doing like an investigation arc, after
yeah,
something like
might
this.
be. Well, the only other person that we know that can do magic is Nemu. That's the
Well, yeah,
only other. That's the
that
only
we
other
know of.
person that we know of that could do magic.
What
So
other people could be doing. Like there might have
could
been some clue we missed out on. I don't know. It
could
might
be.
be something in their
Uh,
names, but I don't know if
oh,
it's to pick them.
no! Oh no! I've just thought about something.
What's up?
What if someone from Nemu's family is in the school?
Oh yeah, yeah. That is an interesting point. I mean, it would be kind of surprising that Nemu, unless it was like a cousin or something. Yeah, that
No,
might work. Never
like
mind.
it might be like an aunt of hers.
Oh, okay. I was
Like
gonna say
so
cousin, like a
some
student, but okay.
I don't think it might be a student. It might be a teacher.
Hmm. Well, that would be interesting because I'm pretty sure students will be the first suspects, and so
Yeah,
yeah, that could be cool.
yeah. So they're obviously suspecting who it could actually be, um, and K K Kago says that yeah. Wait. Oh no wait. It's Moe saying oh yeah because I got a bit confused there with them too. So yeah, it's Moe saying that yeah, it's probably not wise for Nico to use any magic during the festival. And Kago's like, no, wait, I'm against this. Nico's been working her butt off and she's putting her heart in the class. Heck, she's even helping out the production committee and standing up for her, which is quite nice because he's not usually the one to be like, actually, I'm against this.
Yep, and I do like how Kago stands up for him because, like, I think I forgot what series it was. I don't think it was. I'm not. I don't want to say it was Doctor Stone, but maybe it was Dr. Stone. Okay, there was one series that someone was talking about where they're like, okay, it's kind of weird that all the characters are just agreeing to everything. Like no one has their own individual thoughts about what we should do and how things should go. I forgot what series they were talking about,
It
but
might have
here I
been the
like that they're what.
it might have been the Promised Neverland.
Oh yeah, actually might have been. Okay, but I don't know for sure. Either way, but here I'm glad that there's like a disagreement and with like good reason too. Like Kago is like actually like really happy for Nico. He has his like own views on this, and plus, he also says that he's like, I joined you guys for healing my mom, and so what Nico wants is important to me. And I like how they kind of established that Kago has his own views on who Nico is to him, and he sees her as an important person because of what he's done for his mom. And of course, Morihito sees her as something different altogether. And then Khan, I think, also has an interesting take where he actually brings up Nico's training. And I think that's a good perspective for him
Yeah,
because he was with Nico during her early parts of her training. So I love all the different perspectives we get in this chapter. And I think that's what really makes the chapter good for me is we get this new view of the bodyguards, let's call them, and their individual viewpoints on Nico and what she means to them and what they believe is important for her.
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that very much. So then we have uh Mayu Mario
Miharu.
Miharu saying like, "Oh," to Moe when he's like, "Oh, what am I supposed to do?" He's like, "Oh, try to rely on us because there are four of us here. It'll be an annoyance, but I suppose I can help." And Kate Khan is like, "Oh yeah, he's right. There's four of us working together. She'll be even safer. So we'll protect from the shadows." And Nico is like, "Yeah, I'll help," despite the fact that she doesn't realize that they're talking about protecting her. And so they're like, "Oh, so what are we doing?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's secret sky stuff. We're gonna, do stuff with ourselves." And she's like, and she thinks, I get the feeling she thinks that it's something really perverse.
Yeah, I like how they snuck in a dirty joke, and also just the way they set this up with the bodyguards trying to be serious about like we'll protect her from the shadows, and he goes like, "Yeah, and I'll help." And I'm
Yeah,
like, Nico, what? Oh my god, it's so cute and also hilarious, but
I
also
know.
kind of cool because we this. I'm actually excited for a school festival. Like that's so weird.
Yeah, yeah. And hey, who knows? They might call in Nemu for help as well.
Yeah, they're gonna have to call it from because actually that would make sense because a lot of school festivals usually have people from outside the school come in.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that works, but I'm not from Japan, so I don't know.
I guess it's just infights. So maybe Nemu might get infighted, and Moe says, "Hey, something's gonna happen, so we might need your help here. Can you help us?"
Yeah, that would make sense. I hope that happens. Um, so, uh, yeah, this was a good chapter of Witch Watch. I
Good.
think a nice setup, and I think the interesting thing is they said the beginning of the chapter a freshman witch, and so I'm wondering if the next thing is going to be like and a senior something or
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I think one of the older classmates might be involved in what's going to happen next.
Possibly. We'll just have to wait and see. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but a good setup chapter.
good setup chapter. So yeah, which series do you want to talk about next? Because we got Undead Unluck, Ayakoshi, My Hero, Yosakura, and Doctor Stone.
Okay. If you want to kind of save Yozakura and Dr. Stone for later.
Yeah.
So I think either Undead Unluck or My Hero would be
Ye-
good. Any either one you particularly want to talk about?
I'm not really bothered. So
Okay, then let's do Undead Unluck.
okay, all right.
Okay. And then let's put the chapters. All right. Chapter 100 of Undead Unluck.
Yeah. Right at the 100 mark, which means next chapter we're at Ragnarok.
Yeah, and this is also the reason I brought up the one anniversary thing for Witch Watch getting the cover next time. Is because like Undead Unluck is having its like second year anniversary, which it's not really getting cover or color page, I think, right now. At least unless I forgot one that we already did. Maybe did we
Uh,
do color page earlier in the year? Maybe, I don't know.
yeah, we
If we
might have
didn't, I'm
done.
sorry if I forgot. But
Let
yeah,
me.
like getting a whole. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm just saying getting a whole cover is like still a big deal for Witch Watch.
Yeah. Hmm. So
Because even
uh,
Black Clover didn't get its yet. It might
yeah,
still.
might still. Did it say about the what the? Yeah, here we go. So next week, Undead Unluck is getting a color page.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, yeah. So in that case, that's even more impressive because it's Witch Watch getting the cover for its first anniversary, and I'm assuming Undead Unluck's color page is like second anniversary.
I'm guessing. Yeah,
Yeah, a
unless they're
lot of
saving that.
anniversaries coming up.
Yeah, unless they're saving that for when it's chapter 104, because technically that would be the second anniversary.
Oh, did I miscount? All right,
Oh,
that's my
oh no,
bad.
unless we're doing 48 plus 48, but that's 96.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I did math wrong. So never mind what I just said.
Yeah. So anyway, look, moving into the chapter itself, we have Andy looking around and realizing, oh yeah, it's hopeless. The Unruin is nowhere to be seen. Uh, it looks like there's a different pattern. Next time we'll beat him to the punch, and we have Cloffy saying, "Huh, you got a cut on your lid to dry out for you before." They mention it is getting hot and the worst is yet to come, because the Earth is still being pulled into the sun at this point, through the thing that doesn't make sense most of the time. Before we get them noticing an Uma that's not Ghost, and they actually identify it as first. So I get when they say first, they mean like first for lust or first for water or something like that.
I mean, based on the okay. So first, I want to say I'm pretty sure it's water because Andy talks about how his lips were got a cut, and that's from this air being very dry from thirst. So I'm pretty sure it's water. But the second thing is, I have seen people make that joke about how this is the thirst Uma is responsible for all the romantic attraction, let's call it.
Yeah.
So I have seen that joke around on the internet. But yeah, so if chapter 100 is called hard mode, and I'll be honest, this felt kind of cringy how it came
Oh,
support now, but we'll talk about that when it comes to
oh,
play.
oh! I only just noticed. Oh my god, hard mode, really?
Yeah. This, I mean, I get it. It's a game. It's a video game. That's like the whole shtick of this thing. But come on, man. Come on.
So
It's
then we
cringy.
have Andy continuing his investigation as we have Lucy, that was it. That was it.
Yep.
Saying like, "Oh, old man, old guy, you're an outsider." And I love Andy's like thought process here after being called an old guy. He's like, why do I have to be old?
Yeah, which I can relate to. Eventually, into an age where people will say, "Oh man, you're pretty old," and I'm like, I don't feel old, but all right.
Yeah. So we have Lucy questioning him. It's like, "Hey, what's going on in the outside world? It's all messed up here." And yeah, it's like, and I was like, "Yeah, the Earth's being hurled into the sun. The planet magnetic field is going haywire." I should really mention that this was technically my fault, but I'm not going to. uh, Before Lucy's begging him to do something about it, as we have them being attacked again, um, and we get what looks this actually really confused me here, because on page 6 and 7 we have it just going like pitch black for just a brief moment, and it's like, yeah, what was that?
Yeah, and I don't actually know. Hmm.
Maybe as
Uh,
something, I guess, uncolored. I guess there's like someone called uncolored.
yeah, I don't know because like when a weird thing is when I see this in manga, I always think JoJo's like when Dio sends the world and stops time or something, but it's not time; it's vision. So it's uncolored. I don't know,
Hmm.
something
Maybe
like that.
maybe it has something to do with Lucy. Like she might actually have an she might actually be an under person, or no, not an under like
A
oh
negator.
I negated. That was it. That was it. She might be negating the color of the world
Huh.
based,
Interesting.
or it might, yeah, based on her emotional state because like she's in a state of panic here. So like,
Or
um,
maybe it's not even the colors. Maybe it's like someone's vision.
hmm,
Because it's like a quick science lesson. We in our brain or in our brains, or in our eyes, we have rods and cones. Rods part of black and white light, and cones part of color light, effectively. So could be affecting that.
could be, could be. Um, so yeah, continuing on, we have Lucy basically explained that her mom went to a castle and everyone's gone out of their mind and everything. Before we get a flashback to her mother saying her mother and Lucy having a conversation and being and saying like you should go and have fun, do it for me, and you can tell me about it later. But of course, her mother didn't come back, and where and she explains when somebody returned from the castle, they would look up at the sun and smile. They all grew fangs, and anyone who got bitten by them wound up going out of their mind. So basically, turning them into zombies. And then we have Andy saying to her, "Hey, good work, kiddo. I think I found the place, the source of the smiling corpses, and that's pretty sure where I might actually find out a clue to where Fuko is."
Yeah. And so it's kind of weird. We haven't seen Fuko in a while. I
Yeah,
wonder if we'll see her next chapter or not.
maybe, maybe. Yeah, and then so yeah, continuing on, we have more of these juniors.
Yeah, I guess that's what they're calling them.
I guess that's what Andy's calling them. Like I guess they're junior Umas, so that's what he's going with here. Uh, as he finds out what Lucy's name is, and he's like, "Okay, you've got two options here. The world's changing, and there's no going back. Anything could happen at this point. So you either agree to these rules and die, or you can fight against them, negate them, and live." See, this is why I think she's actually a negator because of the how he's basically saying to her, "Negate them."
Oh, I see. Yeah, I can see that because I feel like she has to have some importance
Yeah.
at some point.
So I guess she's the new Fuko for now.
Yeah, pretty much. Which maybe Fuko will get a new Andy for a bit. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe we'll see. So yeah, we so yeah, he says, "Oh, direct me to the castle, and I'll promise to protect you." And she's like, "Yeah, I'll live. So just take me with you. Just take me with you, strange half naked guy." Yeah. And then we have Andy riding through everyone on his motorcycle before riding up at at a forest, and he's like, "Hey, can I cut through this forest?" And Lucy's like, "Yeah, what the heck? Yeah, you can, but what the heck? What is with all these trees? I don't remember anything like this." Um, and then and then we have Andy rearing like, "Yeah, this castle has got something clues to find Fuko," as we see him coin himself, and Lucy probably seeing a negator ability for the first time here because she's
Yep.
like,
I like how the way she's like, "You're killing yourself."
"Yeah, you're kidding yourself," as Andy's shoots his head up with the geyser of blood from his neck. And he's like, "Oh well, I'll be damned. We've got a real life, rule packed hard mode on our hands." And yeah, that is
That's the
cringe.
title of the chapter.
Yeah, that is cringy because you got like about one, two, three, four, five, six of these creatures.
And I guess it's like, okay, well, we can talk about it in a second, but I just want to bring up a point real quick. So we find out that the smiling people walking around have fangs, and there's a castle, and in the castle's in the middle of a forest with monsters in it. This is basically all an allegory for Dracula. For those
Oh
who
yeah, yeah. I knew. As soon as you put, as soon as you said like the fangs, I was just like, okay, that maybe put two and two together there.
Yep. So this is basically, I mean, a lot of people expected Unruined to be a vampire, but this is a very direct comparison to Dracula, which I don't mind. I actually kind of like the inspiration and how they brought it here. And maybe Unruined will end up being a very intelligent character similar to Dracula, which would be cool.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the same time, the hard mode thing, like really, Andy, what's exactly hard about this? You haven't, you just see a bunch of Umas. You haven't been like, aha, these Umas are hardboard Umas. They're a different color than the regular Umas, so they have more
Yeah.
HP. What do you mean? What
So
makes these hard? You fought the seasons. You
yeah, I
fought the
was gonna
literal
say you fought
seasons.
the seasons. I mean, how are these any harder?
So, do you
unless
want to talk
unless
about which? Oh, so go ahead.
unless one of them, because it has a clock on their head that's relating to time.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. We should maybe talk about like which Umas are what, because I see like a fire dragon and like a lava dragon. So that could just be an Uma for lava or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or it might
and
be a
then
volcano because you got
oh
the
yeah,
dragon rising up out of a volcano.
yeah, and then yeah, the clock thing is interesting. You would think clock time. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Which would be that one would be a pretty tough fight. Time people are always difficult. Then there's like a giant earth golem thing. I
So I
don't know
guess
what
that's Earth.
like a metal. I mean, if we beat that, I mean, if that literally are dealing with elementals, like the element of earth and the element of fire, then it's like, okay, then I could understand why it's hard mode. But also, it's like if we accidentally kill water, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
Because we
Oh,
just
because
killed thirst.
wait,
Oh,
because
I just realized we killed thirst.
one of them does look like a water dragon in the background.
Where?
Like you see, where the Earth Golem is, like right above its head, that kind of looks like a water dragon.
Oh, okay. I thought that was fire, but yeah, you could be right. That
No,
actually might
no,
be water. Oh man,
no, the fire
yeah, you're right.
dragon, fire
Might be the
dragon is right.
salamander thing.
Yeah, the fire dragon is right next to it. Like you see the volcano and you see it like rising up. That's probably the fire. That's probably the fire elemental.
Oh man, we can't kill a water dragon. We are dead. Like
Yeah,
all of Andy's powers are based on blood.
yeah. So we've got. So I guess the mosquito. That's the representation of air.
Could be. And you know what? If that's the thing and that's why it's called hard mode, I kind of get it, but it's such a cringy way to put it.
I
Just
know.
say it's like, aha, we got to fight off the four elements or something. Then I'd be like, okay, that's hype rather than saying we got a hard mode on our hands. I'd be like, what does that mean?
Yeah. So to round out the chapter, we have Andy basically explaining the concept of Umas to Lucy, and him saying, "You, yeah, you're too uptight. The world might be ending. Lose one or two rules ain't that big of a deal." No, yeah, it is a big deal, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he also has a bit of a point where it's like we kind of have to make our way through this, and we're talking about the apocalypse here. But I also think Lucy brings up a good point, and we should be careful. Like realistically, you should be careful about which rules you're killing, like Umas, because like the world changes as you kill them. But yeah, I don't know. Andy's not doesn't really care. He's after Fuko right now.
Yeah, after Foucault. So yeah, unless this isn't the end of first, like from what we see here at the end of the chapter, it might not be the end of first.
I mean, he got sliced in half.
But
I
it's
mean,
made
but
of, but it's made of bandages, so it can easily just rework itself.
yeah, also true. I didn't
Yeah,
think of that.
yeah. Also, by the way, thank God Kago in Witch Watch isn't reading Undead Unluck because of the crescent slash that Andy does.
Oh, yep, I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Undead Unluck. We're almost at chapter 101, which a lot of people are predicting is going to be something really big. Which right now feels kind of weird because we're just kind of crossing through a forest. We're going to fight the elements.
Why do I get the feeling it's not going to be a big chapter?
Hmm.
And we're
Yeah,
just
that's what it feels like. But at the same time, it's weird because like two chapters ago, it felt like this was going to be near the end. But it's also like we could have a whole arc of just fighting these guys in the forest. But I don't know exactly. This author has the weirdest pacing.
Yeah, yeah, he really does. So yeah, that was Undead Unluck, and I think now we can move on to My Hero.
Sounds good to me. Just give me a second here. Um, let's see. Got it. Here. Okay, MHA 345.
Yeah.
All right. Uh, okay, I'm ready when you are.
All right, so continuing on from the last chapter, we have the villains basically being moved in their cages to the portals. Which, yep, I was right. Those were portals at the end of the last chapter behind the cages. And we have Toga saying, "Oh, quickly break them open," and they obviously do break them open, and yet Darby says that the cages didn't even last 3 whole seconds, but that's all they needed for them. As they're saying, yeah, lock them down in an instant, break them into small groups, seize the slight advantage of all of this. As we see Monoma um, being the mover and shaker to shove them into the warp gates all at once and split them up without fail. So, okay, for all the crap he's put Class 1A throughout the series, he was integral in this plan. So, well done, Monoma. Well done,
Yep.
Monoma.
Yep. Gotta give it to my boy Monoma.
Gotta give it to your boy, Monoma. Like, as soon
God,
as
I love just this panel of it. I took a picture of it and everything. I also just love how it just like, man, you would have made a great villain in like in a different story where we could have that.
yeah,
But because like, just imagine someone who could just copy your abilities. He could do all kinds of cool stuff. He
yeah,
really could have just been like, he could have been just like an all for one, like apprentice in a different like story arc. Like the guy who has
maybe.
all the quirks and the guy who can copy the quirks.
Maybe that would have been interesting.
Yeah,
But
but I don't mind this. This is still fun.
yeah. So then we have Deku being pulled into one of the portals as Bakugo's like, huh? What's going on here? And we have All Might saying to Fat Gum, like, take command down there and mop up the stranglers and look out for young Ayama. Um, as Fat Gum reiterates that, yeah, this is the place where you fell. One heck of a bluff there, squirt, and just Ayama's like, yeah, just give me some mercy, because I think at this point he's probably pissing his pants with fear.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. I don't blame him. But I also will admit it was like a pretty clever strategy, all things considered, to say like this is the place where you fall, which is kind of like the way of saying, "Ha, you don't know we're about to use portals."
yeah. Yeah, so then we have them moving into phase two, where we have Hawks. Now, at first, I didn't even notice this when I was reading the chapter, but then I was like, "Oh right, oh he's slashing right through all for one."
Yep. Which I mean, cool. I guess I don't understand exactly how he was able to do that, but cool. Also, I guess as predicted, Endeavor is going to be in this fight, and of course, like all the top of the top heroes, plus I forgot his name, the crow guy. They're all going to be fighting AFO.
Tokoyami,
Yeah,
yeah,
probably because he's Hawk's apprentice, which makes
apprentice,
sense.
yeah. So
But yeah, this is going to be a cool fight, and I love this panel drawing. I feel like MHA just ranked high for me this week just for the art, because the story wise, it's just like who's going to fight who. That's kind of what we got. But the art was really good this chapter.
okay, fair enough. So yeah, we have Endeavor saying like, okay, we learned in Kimono that your O's wrapped in an inferior version of what Kuragiri can do. It has a much stronger range, and you can't wrap yourself either. The UA barrier's got some upgrades with that in mind. At the end of the day, your hubris is going to be a downfall. Before All for One basically congratulates them in his own way of like, yeah, this was a fine plan, I suppose. The sharp decline in the hero popularity meant dividing our forces was a necessity. Fair enough, but you're a very cruel man, Endeavor, pitting one for all against Tomura in a deadly knife-edged dance poem. But the most brutal part of this little scheme has to be you forcing your youngest to clear up your own mess, no matter how much it pains him. So basically saying like, yeah, this was a fine plan, Endeavor, but you're kind of cruel for basically sending your son to fight his brother.
Yep, and that is like a good point.
Yeah,
And
but
I mean, just yeah, I just love how it looks too.
yeah, so we get like an actual visual of where the battle is actually taking place, and yeah, looks pretty damn awesome.
Yep, and it's right outside the statue. Like the villains are literally placed right next to the hero must die statue. That just
Yeah,
goes too hard for no reason.
yeah, and then we get the end of the chapter. So pretty straightforward chapter. Not really much to say on this chapter. Just
Yeah, I mean the
basically,
big thing. I'm sorry, I just
yeah.
want to say like the big thing is that of course like Deku getting tied into Toga's fight was kind of unexpected, and also Deku mentions that the fort's danger sense didn't trigger when Toga was doing stuff, but like why? That I
Hmm,
think is important because they brought it up, and also
yeah.
since Shigaraki is um, not fighting against Deku, then that kind of means that right now, Best Genus and Bakugo are gonna have to like really hold him off for a bit, and he's like not easy to hold off without Deku there because he's like one of the linchpin characters.
Uh,
So,
do you
it's
think?
gonna be a very dangerous situation.
Yeah. Do you think Best Genius is gonna die?
You know what? The weird thing is with Best Genus and Bakugo, they both had like fake out deaths. Best Genus more so than Bakugo, but it's like if Horikoshi will kill them off, and like all those fake deaths were signals that they would actually die, I'd be like impressed. But honestly, since they both had fake deaths, it's hard to see it happening.
Yeah, and also, like you said, the Toga thing that was unexpected, but I can see why Horikoshi did it.
Yeah, me too. I'm just glad to be surprised in that way.
Yeah,
Because like I just like you, I was definitely expecting Uraraka and Suyu there, which they are, but I was not expecting Deku to necessarily make it. But
yeah.
now he has
Oh,
to.
I've just thought about something.
What you
Something
got?
that Toga could actually do to get an advantage in this fight.
Yeah, twice his
Distract.
powers.
No, distract Deku by set because she knows Uraraka has a crush on someone, so she could probably use that to her advantage by probably manipulating Deku by saying, "Hey, this girl has a crush on you," and she never told
Yeah,
you about it.
I see what you're saying, but I also kind of hope that doesn't happen because if these kids are going to about to their hormones be used against them, I'm going to be a little ticked off.
Well, it's
Because it's like, this
Toga.
is not the
It,
time, you guys. This is the end of the world.
no, it's Toga doing this though. Toga would be the one to initiate this, and Deku
No,
would.
I get it. But then if that distracts them, that's just kind of using puberty against a bunch of kids. And I know Toga's also technically a kid, but still,
Yeah.
it's
So
kind of a way to go out.
yeah. So which
But yeah,
fight?
Toga's fight's going to be really cool because she has twice his powers. Shigaraki's going to be a problem. Todoroki's has a very personal fight, which is cool. And of course, All for One's the big one.
Yeah. So which fight are you actually most interested in seeing?
That's the thing. They all had their own interesting points. But if I had to say, it would probably be the Shigaraki fight, honestly. One, because I'm just a huge Shigaraki fan. Two, I want to see what his mind state is at right now, because like he's in a very interesting place mentally. And then this, of course, that one I think is going to be the most challenge because everything else is going as planned, right? The on page yeah, what page is this? 4 or no 5. 5. There's this random hero who was saying, "I'm impressed. We even got a strategy to counter that nasty decay port. You swagger like you own the place or something." And then whatever. So basically, they had a plan to deal with Shigaraki, but it's like, okay, well, did the plan involve Deku? Because he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think Shigaraki's fight's gonna be the most interesting. I mean, Dabi's fight's gonna be cool too, but I have a feeling it's going to end in a way that's going to feel kind of weird for like the kind of character he is, unless they kill him off.
I feel
Uh,
like the only way that they could kill him off, is if he overheats himself.
yeah, which would be a pretty decent, okay way to go. I'd be okay with that because they set it up well. And Toga's fight was fine, but it's like she has to lose so Deku can go and help
Yeah,
support the rest. So
yeah.
hers is kind of more just a
I guess
distraction.
I guess the way I could see Toga's fight ending is if Deku if she tells Deku about her past and he's like and he kind of like gets it and she I feel like she might be the only one to surrender.
That wouldn't be the worst thing, but at the same time, with Twice's ability, I almost don't want her to surrender. I kind of want her to fight to the end, but that's just me personally. But I see what
Yeah.
you're saying. It makes them because Spinner would have been the character I would have thought, but I don't know where he is.
Yeah. Well, I said Spinner and Mineta.
Yeah. Wait, did we see him? Like where Spinner went?
No, I said when you were like when Fine said don't do
Oh
predictable
yeah,
fight
yeah. During the
during
Discord,
the
right? I
Discord.
remember.
Yeah, I was like
And I was
Spinner
like,
and
I don't know who I would want to win that. I know who you would want to win, but that for that fight. Actually, you
oh,
know what? If that
I
does happen
guess
and Mineta wins over Spinner, I'd be like, yeah, my boy Mineta just won over a villain. Take that, everybody else.
I guess Mineta versus Mr. Compress.
That could work. I mean, I think that'd be an okay fight. But where are they, man?
I have
I
no
just realized I
idea.
didn't see them. But I guess they
Wait.
just showed off the big guys.
Let me see if we can see them in that panel. Like so we get some that are basically blacked out in the All for One panel. So I guess Mineta could be in there.
Yeah, there's like a lot of people in the shadows there, so there might be somebody, but it's hard to tell for sure.
Yeah, it
Because
is hard
yeah,
to tell.
because then
But
even in Todoroki's panel, there's like a lot of like we see Ida is with him too, but
oh, that
he's fighting
oh
Nomu.
that would be an interesting conversation for Ida and Darby to
Because of the
have.
siblings, yeah,
Yeah, that would
sure.
be interesting.
And that would also be good because Horikoshi set it up earlier that Ida brought up, hey, I had a brother too. And I'm just like, it's a kind of a different story, Ida, but he does have a perspective to bring about family.
Yeah. So yeah, not really much to say on My Hero, just basically setups for the fights.
Yep. And I think this really was just a giant, like, epic drawing setting up chapter, but I think it also did what it did well. Kind of
Yeah,
threw us off a little too with Deku. And I'm interested to see why Toga did not trigger the danger sense because apparently that's important.
yeah. So if all goes well, this pretty much just feel like this is end game now. These feel like the final battle's being set up.
Yeah, so many series are coming to an end.
Yeah.
So
So
strange.
I'm gonna say about 370, My Hero might actually be ending then. Like
3.
370, like in that
Oh,
range.
okay. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good because that's like another like 25 chapters, and that 25 chapters would be like divided by 4, 6 months. Yeah, I could see it.
Or if he wants to go on until the end of the year, like maybe 50 chapters, so like 395 chapters.
Yeah, and I think close to 400 is a good number to end
Yeah,
on.
yeah. So yeah, Dr. Stone ended this year. My Hero potentially ended this year. So yeah,
Yep, and Fire Force already ended earlier. A lot of things ended.
yeah. Also, actually, since you mentioned it, what did you think of Fire Force ending?
Oh, I thought we talked about that. I don't remember, but
All
yeah,
right.
I really liked it. In fact, in a weird way, I think Fire Force's ending. I'm talking about this almost kind of spoiled me in terms of the way a manga could end because it really took its time to like end at a point where it's like a lot was explained and we know what's going on with the characters, where they are, how everything fits, and I think like I was hoping that Doctor Stone, because I knew we of course knew it's this last arc would follow in a similar fashion with a nice lengthy epilogue and whatnot. but we're not getting that, I guess. But Fire
Yeah.
Force, like, yeah, its ending was incredible.
Which leads me to believe, like, we'll get into it with Doctor Stone, but it just seems weird that it's ending like how it's ending. It just seems weird. Like there has to be more. There really has to be more. Like
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely have a more extended
yeah,
discussion when
we
we
can
get.
have a more extended. But for now, I think we should just get on to Ayakashi Triangle.
Yep. Yeah, we have Ayakashi, Yozakura, and Dr. Stone,
Doctor
right?
Stone. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, good.
So
These
but
are
then
like the really big chapters I wanted to talk about
oh yeah,
this week.
I yeah. If I was gonna pick the chapters that made me smile the most, it was probably Ayakashi this week.
That is a fair point. Okay, and so yeah, we're on 15. Okay, so we are on Ayakashi chapter 81.
Yeah, Matsuri saw. Yeah, he did. They did see.
Uh-huh.
So
Yep.
yeah, we are. So yeah, to start off the chapter, we have Matsuri basically arriving in the outfit that they picked out in the shopping trip, and he's like to Suzu, "Do you think I look weird in this?" It's like, "No, you look good." And then he's obviously blushing with embarrassment, and uh, Suzu, not turning off her what's the PC word for PC name for it? Not turning off lust mode. There we go. That's better.
Sure.
Um, it's like, oh, too bad we're out in public. I wish I could kiss him right now. And Shigeru's there, just like, what is this girl? What is this girl? And then yeah, and then we
Yep.
have
And then we have, apparently they invited Shadow May out on like a bit of a trip, and it kind of got a kind of following up with what Yayo was doing last time, where she wanted to help out Shadow May so she would have a better impression of humanity, and so they decided to do the same thing.
yeah. So so then we have Shadow May hugging, appearing out of nowhere, just hugging Matsuri from behind, and she's like, "Oh, did you like the outfit?" And I get this joke. This joke just made me laugh. Just made me laugh so hard when she says. Garaku used a jutsu called online shopping to create it. Isn't he amazing? And but yeah, that's no jutsu. Like just again, Chalamet as a villain can just be intimidating, but also really, really stupid at times.
Yep. Which I think is what makes her a fun antagonist, because she's like, ah, I'm clever, crafty antagonist, but also I'm kind of adorable.
Yeah, and Shigeru was like, "Oh yeah, I found an odd presence just now. Was it just the waving of Shadowmay's Ayakashi energy? No, it was something else more." And again, and again, just her calling a bus a box. Like you can, this box can move without horses, and they're like, "Yeah, keep it down because it's embarrassing." And then she's like, "Oh, what's the purpose of taking me into town? Let me just say, you're not going to win me over so easily." They win her over so easily with some strawberry shortcake.
Yep. Like really easily. And it makes sense because dessert didn't exist back in the day.
Yeah,
Just
which
imagine how much sugar this is compared to what she's had before.
yeah, she's probably it's probably
It's
like
like when
just
the villagers, actually, it's when the villagers got cotton candy for the first time. It's
oh
basically
yeah,
that.
definitely. Except with less hearts in the eye.
Yeah. Although we definitely need to talk about if we're going to do like a send off stream or something. I think you want to do for Dr. Stone, but maybe we can talk about that the last segment,
Maybe.
because I would
Uh,
love to talk about all those old moments and everything.
yeah, I was thinking like just saving that for next week because it
Yeah,
is the
no, that's
last.
fine.
Yeah, just save it for next week. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, we have uh blah blah. Let me get my thoughts back together. We have Matsuri and Shigemoto basically talking to each other, and Matsuri just sprays, does the whole cliche of just like throwing juice into someone's face, and he's like, "Oh, what was that for?" As we see Suzu and Shadowmei without their clothes on from Matsuri's perspective, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" Before we realize, oh wait, Shadow May put what a EO in Matsuri when she hugged him, and basically giving him the power of to see everyone uh, for see everyone without clothes on. For some reason, I guess to try and seduce him more and more.
Yep. I Here's the thing. Uh, I think she didn't know what it was because if you go on to the next page, she said, "Ah, so delicious. I can't think straight now after analyze situation." And she says, "Maybe he's flustered. Maybe it's a skill that makes him uncomfortable on girls." She has like no idea what this thing is doing.
All right, all right. Oh yeah, good point. Good point. So yeah,
Yeah, I think she would otherwise be a bit embarrassed.
yeah, and apparently what it is that this it's a rare ayakashi that crystallizes from a certain perverted human wish in the modern world. Really, they had to go with that. But basically, bottom line of it is that this makes anybody see through the clothes of anyone they are interested in. So I guess Matsuri is interested in both of them. Yeah, which makes
Yeah,
sense because
so I did want to talk to you about that. So do you think that means like well, I say they're interested in both of them, or is it that Shadow May and Suze are technically like the same person, and so
I
that's why?
guess I guess it's because of that. Like his brain, like yeah, they are the same person.
Because otherwise, it's just like, oh, do we have to end with like a harem ending?
I
Because
guess so.
like
I
that's the only other way I see that working. If Matsu's actually interested in both Susan and Shadow May in that way.
I guess so. Oh my god! Oh my god! I've just thought about it.
Hmm?
Like you were saying, editing in that way, like he gets together with both of them, like
Yeah, yeah.
Ayakashi triangle.
Triangle. Yep.
Oh, if that's the case, that would be the greatest thing ever
Yeah,
in the
it would be. I don't
history
even
of
actually think it'll happen, but it would be.
it. Would be, yeah. So yeah, they go to karaoke, and Susan's like, "Oh, there has to be some famous old songs in here," and it's like, Suzu, do you know how old May is?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, but then it's like it's Japan. Maybe there's folk songs or something that just got
Maybe.
like reworked because Japan's very traditional in society. Because like in America, for example, like we're only like 200 years old or something, so there's no way a Shadow May would have anything like that unless we talked about Native American songs or something. But like with England, I mean, you guys probably have songs from like I don't know, long time ago or something, right?
Yeah, I guess if you like, I guess the only song that I can probably think of off the top of my head is probably like just the Christian songs.
Okay, sure. I mean, yeah, Christian songs are from
Yeah.
a while back, so that could be it. So I'm guessing Japan has some equivalents, but at the same time, apparently, whatever the song is they're referencing is really dark, but I don't know what it is. At
I
the same
don't know.
time, Matsuri tries to like do get some exorcism going on after he takes a moment to calm down. But then, of course, Suzu interrupts him just at that moment, and so the
Yeah,
wind just comes right out of their body.
and basically sends Suzu and Matsuri into a position which anybody who knows this series knows what it is.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Look at the way, think about what Matsuri's powers are, think about the positioning, and then look at the panel at the very bottom of page 16. Look at the panel, the way Matsuri is paneled around.
Yeah.
So he is looking directly at
Oh,
Suzu.
oh no. Oh no,
Yeah.
I've just realized that now, and
I
it's
was
like,
really trying to point this out without saying anything because we're on YouTube. But
yeah,
yes,
yeah, it's that.
like
It's
just this is so beautifully done.
and it's like, hey, Viz, how did this get past censorship?
To be fair, maybe they didn't see it. You didn't either.
Fair enough, fair enough. But
But
yeah,
my God, this series is just getting so bold with this. Like
oh
there will
yeah,
never be. I can't see an edgy series ever surpassing it without going straight into the off-brand territory.
yeah, definitely, definitely. But that's what we love about it. So yeah, we have the artifacts basically leaving Matsuri, and Shiroganu catches it, and I guess he has a thing for Mei and Suzu as well.
Yeah, oh wait, that is a good point. I should double check something.
Yeah, because he has it in his mouth and it's touching him, and he's seeing them in the same way Matsuri did.
Because like the first time I was thinking about this power, I was like, wait, is it does it just affect women because of the way it was like a crystallization of like maybe men's desire or something? But the way it's phrased is giving a haku can see anyone they are interested in, because that's why Matsuri sees through their clothes, but not the woman standing next to
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
But then Shirogane, yeah, okay, that is interesting. Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah. So yeah, we have Suzu basically informed about what's happened. Oh yeah! Oh my god! Oh yeah! Now I remember. Now I realized it, like more implication of 6 years. So, because I was only thinking about Suzu with her clothes on and that, but no, Matsui, yeah, doesn't see
Saw
her with,
everything. Saw
yeah,
everything.
saw it, yeah, and then yeah, I won't tell anyone. And Susan's like, yeah, of course you won't. Yeah, of course you won't, because then the censors will get even more crazy. And then we close out the chapter with Garoku saying, "Oh, you're in a good mood," and Shaname saying, "I think I won today." Shaname, we all won today.
We, yep,
Yeah,
yep. Except I also don't know why she thinks she won. I feel like Suzu is like not gonna. This isn't gonna break them up or anything. If
no,
in a weird way, I thought she was gonna have a different kind of response, but I guess there was a point where it gets a little too far for her.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was Ayakashi Triangle. Um, Again, the chapter that made me smile the most this week. So
Hmm.
yeah, I guess we can now move on to talking about Mission Yotsuko Family, which I want to say probably my chapter of the week.
Fair
Aside
enough.
from aside from Doctor Stone, of course.
Yeah, I think Yozakura was definitely either two or three for me. So yeah, it's up there. Really good chapters.
Yeah.
Let me just find it. There it is.
Again, just hitting on the fact that Koricho is probably gonna die.
Yeah, it's almost getting harder to ignore that at this point, but we're on chapter 119 of Yozakura,
Yeah.
titled, what was it titled? Oh,
Mutsumi
Mutsumi and Koichiro. Yep.
makes sense. It is pretty much
Yeah.
just their chapter.
Yeah, this is like a characterization chapter, effectively,
Yeah.
which is nice to have. I think like
So
a lot of Koichiro really didn't get too much characterization done except on little bits and pieces with other chapters. So I think it's really necessary to have something like this.
yeah. So, starting off the chapter, we have Koricho staring down the previous heads of the Yosuko family, who were all resurrected as puppets by Subumi's roots. And he's thinking like, oh, if I defeat all of them, then Mutsumi will be free of Subumi's curse. Before we have Momo basically doing what he does best, and scramming, because it's like, oh, we're already done talking, and you lot can all carry out the plan as possible, as much as possible. Everything is for your sake, Lady Subumi. So yeah, again, we don't really know what their ultimate goal is.
Yeah, I mean, they want to take over Mutsumi, but then after that, I don't know.
What after then? Like, yeah, you want to take over Mutsumi, but why?
Yeah, like Subium is an interesting-ish villain, but it's just they're very unclear,
I
so
guess
it's
I
kind of
I
hard to like, really root for him.
I guess because Subumi's dying, like she wants to take over Mutsumi as in become her.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking, but it's like, is it because she's actually alive? Can she not do it with the other heads because they are, not alive?
Hmm,
Maybe.
maybe. But yeah, we have the second head, Nanami, I think that was her name. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. Uh,
yeah, saying
yeah.
to creature, yeah, saying to creature, oh, your courage target are gathering for your sister's sake is admirable, but it's foolish because if you meet your end here, the backbone of the current Yosuko family will be broken and Mutsumi, the 10th head, will be ours. Which is kind of an interesting perspective to put on the relationship between Matsuri and Koricho, because up until this point, she's been sort of like, yeah, my brother is really creepy. I don't want to be around him.
Yeah. So we definitely get a new perspective here, which
Yeah,
is nice. Especially the way like all the siblings wanted to play with her. It actually just kind of makes sense because in pediatric clinics I've been to, they kind of have like if you have an older sibling that's like a couple years older, they'll really want to be into taking care of the baby because
mm,
those first few years are kind of fun to like have to deal with that and help out, but then it gets a little more annoying when they become a hindrance to you.
yeah.
That's
Um,
because of being an older sibling.
yeah. So we have them saying like, if you have a will or and a testimony, like again, the fact that they're saying last will, like Koichiro, I'm sorry for everyone. Koichiro, like Sacred Hero, I'm sorry, but yeah, this looks like Koichiro uh, is not making it out of this alive.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, it would be good for the story. So
yeah. So then we get a flashback of when Sabumi was a child, and the mother saying, "All right, who's on milk duty first?" And they decide like, "Oh, the oldest has to be the one. We have to go in age order, so that means Koricho is up first." And Koricho's pounding the air, just like, "Yes, I get to go first." Like, and we get his thought process, which is he loved all his siblings, and his little sister with the blue black hair, who would be the next head of the Yosuko family, was the most special, and the duty of protecting the head of the family spurred my pride in being her older brother, and Matsui was my reason for living. So, yeah, I like the fact that he does say that, like he does love all his siblings. So it's kind of like, yeah, he has favorites, but at the same time, he knows when to be like, okay, yeah, they're still my siblings, so I've still got to love them in the same way. But Matsumi's that next head, so she's got to get special priority.
yeah, which again, the way the heads work, I'm still not entirely. We're still not entirely sure exactly why the people without power need to be like that. But it doesn't really go into it just yet.
Not yet. Um, so then we have it where Koricho is after after Subumi after I feel this is probably after where Mutsumi. So there's too many people that sound the similar. So you got Matsuri and Mutsumi.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have Koricha receiving a vocal, which I feel like this is probably after where the beginning scene of the first chapter when Momo pulled her out of the burning building
Yeah,
when
I would think so.
Karicho's receiving this phone call where he's saying like Mutsumi's recovered quite well, at least physically, and we get her saying, "Oh, can we play together for a little while?" Cat's cradle, and he eventually relents, and they get into this conversation about how oh uh, figuring out how it actually works and everything, and how last time they did this together, she was much better. She was much better. She's obviously doing it on purpose before she reveals that she's taken over their mother's accounts and processed the name changes on the other assets as well, and notified the business connection. So basically, done all the affairs, so the family can continue as usual. And I want to know exactly what she's probably. Is she crying for her mother in this scene?
I think she's just very depressed uh, in general at the situation. Because I mean, it obviously like the mom's gone, but then
Yeah.
also like her dad. She also mentions like he's gone too for some reason that he betrayed the family. So I think crying just for their situation as a whole.
Okay. All right. Um. So yeah. She says even if mom and dad are gone, the home that we all lived in happily won't change. Just like how you all protect me, I need to protect everyone because I am the head of the Yosako family. And I love that that's kind of in there because it's kind of like mirrors what Koricho said to Futaba. It's like he's glad that she's the older sibling. Like
Yeah,
the younger
I don't know.
sibling.
Like
No, the younger sibling. Yeah, because Koricho's the oldest out of all of them.
yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was like a good moment between them all together. But at the same time, it kind of shows us like what Kyuichiro thinks of himself in relation to Mutsumi. Like
Yeah.
originally is just like a knight, but now more than a knight, it's more accurately a blade, as he refers
Yeah.
to himself.
Which is accurate for Koricho, in a sense, an accurate description for Koricho. Like he's more than just a knight; he has to be the blade of the family. Because, in a sense, despite his creepiness, he really does hold the family together at certain points.
Yeah, and I am glad he's at least getting like these moments before his possible death.
His possible death, yeah. Um, so yeah, we cut back to the action in the cave where he says, "I'm not protecting Mutsumi, she's protecting us, and he just needs to be a blade for his beloved sister, and if he can be a deep, sharp blade for her." As we get the ending of the chapter, so again, pretty straightforward chapter, not a lot to go off here, but a nice just character development moment. And we get Kokushi Black Thread, which I've got to say that last panel is spectacular.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure nobody got like destroyed in that attack because
Mm,
that's how it always is in shonen manga, but it still looks cool.
yeah. Now, I had a theory here of like how Creature could die but still be in the series, and it all revolves about him saying, "I need to be a blade." Like, because what if they Nanano could actually do something to put his conscience in, like, say, a blade or something, like the blade that Tayo uses.
I mean, I feel like that'd be really pushing the sci-fi unless they do the whole thing we were talking about Dr. Stone where they digitize the conscious, which I guess they could do it that way. Um, and I mean, we do know that life after death is possible with Tsubumi.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some weird workaround where they can kill the character and keep him around.
Mm,
But at the same time, I think my own preference would be just a straight up death. But that's just me.
yeah.
Oh, and hey, Skyzed just showed up.
Yeah, Sky said you just in time
And
for
then
the
he left to read Sky Yozakura family.
now
And
wait.
then he came back, I think, after. Okay, cool. All right,
Yeah.
dude, I just read all your comments at once.
Yes, I have arrived. Yeah, sorry, you're a bit late, man. So, because we've just been
Yeah, we
through all the
only have
chapters,
Dr. Stone left.
we only have
Oh.
Dr. Stone left. Yeah, so
But if
you
you had
bet.
any questions about any of our thoughts, just let us know.
Yeah, and also next week, Sky said the big finale of Doctor Stone.
Supposedly. I'm going to keep
Suppo-
saying that till
sup-
it's announced. I'm still in the denial
supposedly
stage.
till it's now. But yeah, I think this will be a good time to actually move on to talking about Doctor Stone to wrap
Yeah.
up the stream.
Hmm. Would agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. And now, why is Karicho now an S tier character? Yeah, he's an S tier character right before what could be his death. Oh, you're
Yep.
busy earlier. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, no, it's fine, man. No worries. We're just
Yeah.
glad you came to stop by. Oh, I guess he has to go read Dr. Stone now. All right, man.
All right.
Take care.
Well. Here's what my idea is that again. I really believe two things because here's the thing, if it was gonna end they would just straight up they would have said it by now rather than being like, okay, we're in the climax, like, yeah, but what does that mean? Like, is it going to be the same as Promised Neverland or Demon Slayer? And also the fact that it seems to be like one of the stranger climaxes, in a sense, which leads me to believe that I believe Boichi might actually go all out and be like, I'm this is the end of Dr. Stone written by Inagaki. I'm writing my own take on Dr. Stone as a fully fledged series or something like that.
Right. And we definitely have that theory going on because with all this alien talk now, we can really get into some
Yes.
deep sci-fi stuff, which is
Yeah.
absolutely in Boichi's ballpark.
And
So
if it was like Boichi does it on Jump Plus, then I feel like he could do much more there.
probably, and that would still allow for another magazine. Well, not another magazine because we already have like newbies coming in,
Yeah.
but it allows the new magazines to have their slot, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like Boichi could do Dr. Stone on his own. I mean, he's proved it before with the reboot.
Yeah, which I mean, I would be really grateful for if that happened. But at the same time, I think as guys had said, Doctor Stone is definitely the kind of story where a story was planned. So if they do decide, this is we've told everything we want to tell, it could also just straight up end
Yeah,
next
it
week.
could also just straight up end. But again, I just feel like there's a bit more to go. But if Inagaki wants to end it here, I'm gonna have to respect his wishes.
Yep, same. Although I will agree with you, if a lot of my feelings for this chapter are heavily, well, I have a lot of thoughts, but a lot of it's heavily colored by the fact that we got that announcement that this is like supposedly the penultimate chapter. In which case, that kind of changes the way I view this to an extent. Because otherwise, I think we'd be having a slightly different discussion than what we're going to have.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, I guess we should just move into the chapter itself. And gotta say, I feel like this should like the petrification, like that should be green more than blue.
Yeah, but Boichi just likes to change colors. I
Yeah,
mean, even like Senku's hair has a bit of a blue shading on it in
yeah,
that panel, even though we know
yeah.
he's green
And
hair.
have you seen the volume cover for volume 25? Like,
Oh
size,
yeah, Sai has a bit of a green tint to his hair.
no, size. Like, I feel like Sai, because when Sai was introduced, he was like white, but now on the volume cover, it seems like he's more darkened.
Oh yeah,
It, it,
that might have
it,
just been closer
it
color correction because yeah, he shouldn't. I mean, here's the thing: as an Indian myself,
yeah.
our skin color or skin tone kind of changes a bit with like the seasons. Like when it's like summer, I'll get a little darker than when I am in winter. It's not really
Okay.
noticeable unless until you start taking pictures and see people after a while because that's just how melatonin works.
Okay.
But at the same time, I think like size skin coloring should probably be a little darker than it was, but that's a whole other story.
All right. So yeah, we have it's Senku versus the force behind the petrification of Wyman. The fate of all humanity will be decided by this final showdown, and we get the actual color page, a future to get excited about. Uh, and again, I really think that I really hope that that's just like a hint of like hey, this may be the end of Dr. Stone, but it's not the end of Senku's story or something like that.
I mean, again, we're just picking at straws, but I
I know.
support that. At the same time, I love this color page because it's like it's Byakuya getting that ramen,
with
and then
Senku.
even Chrome is crying. My
Yeah.
God, so beautiful.
And also as well, this again further proves who the true main characters of the series were all along: Kohaku, Senku, Chrome, and Suika, and also Byakuya.
Well, I mean, Gen isn't here, neither is Ryusui. So,
But no,
but the other thing is, look
but
at
no,
the.
but no. In all seriousness, I feel like this was intentional because they're the original Kingdom of Science trio.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. These are the people who were with Senku at the beginning. Besides, I mean, well, Taiju and Yuzu who went on to do spy stuff. But look at Byakuya's hair. I just realized it has a green shading to it, even though he has white hair.
Yes, yes.
Doesn't even make sense.
Well,
So that's what I'm saying. Boichi just likes having fun with the colors.
Yeah, well, here's my theory of like, always my theory is that they are related, Senku and Byakuya, like, but they're not fathers. Like, they're more. I've always said like it might be a case. Like, you've never seen Digimon, you've seen Digimon, haven't you?
I've seen most of the series, yeah.
Yeah. So it might be a case of Izzy from Digimon, like, because Izzy was the smart one who was adopted, and his father was his real father's cousin. So it might be a similar case to this, that Byakuya is Senku's cousin.
Oh, I didn't know Izzy's dad was. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. They say that like is for Izzy's adopted father in the series is his dad's cousin.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that. I do remember Izzy was adopted, but not that.
Yeah,
That's good to know.
it does say that. Yeah, so it might be a similar case here. Which, if that's the case, I would like that. Like, they're still related, just not in the way we think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but at this point, because like Byakuya just described Senku's dad as a friend of his, but it's kind of just left at that.
Yeah. Guess some Inagaki and Boichi have not fumbled. I'm just reading Sky Said's comment.
Oh yeah, yep. We'll talk about the chapter now, man. So let's get into it. So we start with Senku inside the Medusa Faraday cage, which for those who don't know, Faraday cage is the name of the thing that keeps electronic signals out of a enclosed space, and the Medusa is doing that right now. So Senku and it can have a private conversation. And Senku's saying, so you can float it around and move any which way you please. I don't even understand how you're doing that. And then the Medusa tries to demonstrate. So this is actually, I thought, kind of a cool way to show off like how the Medusa sees the world. Because it doesn't have eyes, obviously, but it can use radio waves to make an X-ray of Senku and see like his skeleton.
Yeah.
And then after we see his skeleton, the Medusa takes on a skeletal form, and it's like, "Hey, Senku, we can look exactly like you." Yeah. And of course, it's like, "Oh my god, it's terrifying."
That is terrifying, but that makes sense all this time. Why we've seen the Y-Man as sort of like that skeletal form before we knew it was the Medusa.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that because that's like probably like the last really big bit of foreshadowing that we're gonna get in this series. Just like, why did the Y-Man look like that? This is why. It actually makes a great amount of sense. I love it.
Yeah.
And of course, the art is just beautiful. So then Senku brings up an interesting thing, and unfortunately, this is like a little something I was worried about. Is that Senku is like talking about the whole ignoring gravity. He has an idea, and he discusses with the Medusa, and we get to hear none of it.
Yeah, that's kind of a bit of a disappointment myself, because at least give us something, Senku.
Yeah, so I was worried about this because it seemed like the Promised Neverland situation where Emma had a talk and we don't find out what it is.
However,
the weird thing is, since we know this is the...
Go ahead. And I'll say why.
The weird thing is there are some hints we get, and we'll talk about that, because we know it has something to do with the Medusa's ability to ignore gravity, but also because we know that next chapter is supposedly the last one. We have to find out next week, so we will know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This chapter was so good. We got what? 1, 2. We've got one chapter left, so next week, Sky said, it's the last chapter. supposedly, unless
We're getting 7 color pages
yeah,
apparently in an
unless
extended chapter.
unless Boichi wants to go all out and say uh, go out and say yeah, I'm going to be doing it solo from now on. So it's the last Doctor Stone written by Inagaki, but not the last Doctor Stone in general. No, I'm not saying part two. I'm just saying like more like a Doctor Stone, like sort of like maybe I want to say like Doctor Stone Doctor Stone Continuum or something like that. Something like that. But yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to the chapter. So then
Also,
Kohaku.
I just want to quickly say, nah, my boys Inagaki and Breach don't fumble like Shiryu and Demisu. Oh my god, crapping on the Promised Neverland authors there.
Yeah, I did notice that. Um, it's okay. Well, Sky's Ed enjoys how it is. We'll talk about this as we go on because again, a
Yeah,
lot of my views on this chapter in particular are a little colored by the fact that we know it's almost the last chapter. Anyway, so then Kohaku and Stanley were like starting to get worried because they don't know what's going on because Senku's all like, nobody can find out what I'm talking about right now. And then the the Y-Man says, necessary intellect to replicate our kind is lacking by your hand, or your kind. We now abandon this planet for another. A gift of petrification be granted at this time. Do not flee. And this one, I think, was kind of interesting to me because I thought to myself, okay, and this is one of my issues, I guess I have with it is just like the Y Man is like deciding we're going to leave, but like, why wait until now? That's kind of what I wonder. It's like, why is now the part where the Y Man is like, okay, we had enough of this, we're going to leave? I'm
I
not
guess
entirely sure. I wonder if
I
it's
guess
because of Senku's suggestion. That's what I really want to know. What Senku just told them because I think that colored their opinion.
I guess it's probably explained at the end because Senku does bring up something, so I guess that's probably what it was, and it was just like, no, I'm not comprehending this, but I also feel it was like they wanted humanity to come to them first
You think that's just how they operate? They want those
because they
intellect
do,
creatures to discover them.
yeah, because they want humanity to discover them to replicate the diamond batteries to give it to them. So they probably want
To help
humanity to
survive the
come.
existing ones. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I got it.
yeah, yeah.
Huh.
So
Yeah,
they
that
wanted
makes
them to
sense.
come to him. Yeah. So the Y-Man starts to petrify them again, petrify them again as Stanley shoots his uh, unpetrifying net, I guess.
Well, I think it's like just an anti-Medusa gun. It's a grenade launcher,
Yeah, the
grenade net launcher.
grenade net launcher, as he says, perfect line of fire. Many of us will die. Oh, uh, uh, oh, I ain't shooting. So as long as you back off,
Yeah, and I
and
did want to. Oh, actually, just keep going for now. But I do like the art here because the Medusa is actually using its X-ray vision to see what Stanley's doing. So that's why it knows what Stanley can do.
yeah, and Karaka says, "I'm not sure what Senku said in there, but you need to stay at the bargaining table. Getting you to do that's about the only thing we can do." And then we have Senku continuing on by saying, "I knew you parasites aren't so brainless that you'd fight your own hosts." But back to what I was just explaining, forget about finding another planet and work with us instead. Then maybe humanity and Y-Man could team up to craft something truly out of this world. So, oh yeah, that's probably what Senku was suggesting. Like, let's work together rather than it being a dictatorship between where you dictate what we do. We'll work together, and that's probably what Y-Man was getting at.
Yeah, so I really want to know what Senku is crafting. Here's the thing: if we didn't know this was the last chapter, the thing I would be talking to you about is, oh man, Luke, we're gonna have like a whole arc based on this thing Senku wants to build, and he's gonna need to figure out how to build the Medusa, and we're gonna spend time figuring out how to build Medusas to build the thing, because you need that apparently. But now that we know it's like the last chapter, it's more just like, okay, I still want to know what's going on, but I guess we're not getting a whole construction
Yeah,
arc, not getting
yeah.
a whole arc
Yeah,
on.
because we had the idea of interstellar travel
Yeah,
because
which I still think is probably something that we're dealing with.
that would explain truly out of this world.
Yep. And I feel like Caleb chose those words in particular because he gets
Which
these things like pretty early, these chapters.
yeah, which again, I've just got the idea in my head. Like, okay, let's not call it Doctor Stone Part 2, but like maybe I don't know, Doctor Space or something. So it's like a sequel series, but like it's more to do with like space travel.
Which, again, that's just kind of us hoping beyond hope, but it would make sense based on what they set up. And it also will depend on what happens next chapter, of course, the
Yeah,
final
yeah.
supposed chapter. But then, yeah, I guess the Medusa, the reason they don't like the plan is because apparently the probability is very low. And then he says, but it ain't near, Senko says, it's not near zero, though, not when it comes to us. Take me, for example. This smooth, shiny monkey came into the stone world with nothing, and in just 10 short years, we're here on the moon,
Okay,
which is our
technically,
timeline.
it's more than 10 years, Senku, because you were in the stone world for what? You're in the stone for 1 year before you worked out the petrification. Then you had another year. Then you had another year when before when it got to the end of Stone Wars. Then you had another year to build the boat, so that was 3 years, and then the 10 years. So it's 13 years. Say it's more than 10 years. Senko. It's more like around 50 years because you still had to build the rocket to get to space.
Yeah, but I wonder if this is like not counting the 7 years he was petrified.
Yeah, I'm not counting the 7 years that's petrified because you
You
had
think even without that, it's still more than 10?
no. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's work it out. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess you're right. No, because then they would have been away for 3 years at that point because they left Doctor Sinu in South America, and then 3 years later he came back. So that's like three on top of that. So
Yeah,
that's
and then they spent some years on the
see.
rocket.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
so that's how I predict these 10 years are work. And yeah, Sky Z really doesn't want a continuation, which is fair. I can understand there's at least probably some people who want that definitive conclusion and want a series that won't just stretch itself out for no reason because a
I
lot of series.
know. I
Yep.
know.
And yeah, Sky Z, we just did the math. It's about 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, at
But
least it's nice to have that timeline now.
yeah,
You have to have the calendar.
Sky said, you know how I am with Doctor Stone. Um, as much as I would like it to end, at the same time, I just want it to go on because I really, really do love it. Yeah. Um. But hey ho, hey ho. Pretty soon, like I said, getting Mission Yosakura family reviews from me. So yeah, look forward to that. But yeah, back to the chapter itself. Yeah,
Yeah, the art
Senku
on the next couple like pages. Oh my god, this first Senku with the axe,
with
just
the
like over the earth on the moon. He's like, "We're here on the moon." It's like, oh, that is just so great pose right there.
yeah,
And then right after, we get like a Lich King looking like
yes.
Medusa scream.
Um, thumbnail for the chapter review this week.
Yeah, like this is the kind of like final antagonist thing where it's like, I'm gonna take down the wild man with my stone axe.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting because Senku doesn't technically beat the Y-Man. The Y-Man just leaves. Which,
Yeah, and yeah, okay. Well, if you had more to say with that, because that's the other big thing I want to talk about.
yeah, I was just going to get to that point. So, like, the Y-Man is unable to honor request. Abandonment is your kind of fate. My kind will seek other planets and more intelligent organisms. However, before we find out, and I love like Senku and Sinu's face here. It's like they were super optimistic, and now the Y-Man's like, yeah, no, we're still going to leave. So see you later. They're just like, wow, that didn't work the way I intended it.
Nope. And so, like, I mean, this is kind of the thing for me. A lot of Doctor Stone's like best moments. I mean, or of course, like giant inventions, but also its final conflicts it has. Like when we had Tsukasa and Senku versus Hyoga. When we had Ibarra being outsmarted, and of course the whole battle in South America. A lot of these were like some of the really peak pinnacle moments of the series. But with Y-Man, with this chapter, it's just more like Senku's like, I have a suggestion. The Y-Man says no. And then he decides instead to leave. Now, I do want to admit another point here that I think some people are kind of missing, is that Stanley, I think, is another huge reason why the Y-Man decided to just leave them in peace, because if they didn't just leave, then the Y-Man would have put itself at risk of getting shot. And sure, obviously, there's too many of them to take them all down, but that's just how much the Y-Man fears death. It doesn't see the point in wasting any of its resources. And on top of that, it's kind of like why Stanley was important to have here. Because like a lot of people are saying, like, well, what was the point of having all those like selection for the exam? Like Kohaka and Stanley didn't do anything, but they did. Stanley's line of fire, Kohak and his piloting skills, getting the craft going, and as well as Kohaku's throwing ability to save him from the initial petrification. Those were all important points. So I think there was a point to that. But at the same time, this overall resolution of the Y-Man felt very, I agree with a lot of people, anticlimactic, just because they kind of just had a resolution. But at the same time, I will admit it's a very rational conclusion to this, because like the Y-Man, they weren't going to physically fight him.
Yeah.
And either was going to agree to their plans, which is what I was hoping for. That's the ending I wanted. Or he was going to not, which I guess, I mean, there's my expectations subverted. So the Y-Man just, and although at the very least it's not a complete waste either, because of course the next page is, however, I may be taken by you, only I. This body is yours to destroy, to kill. You speak of creations out of this world that excites me. Probability is near zero, but enough for one alone to wager everything to your kind. And this is a good way of showing that our Medusa has been very influenced by the kingdom of science.
Yeah.
And
And
a hive mind entity like Y-Man was pursued or persuaded to a small extent. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and again, like I said, yeah, it might be a little bit anticlimactic, but I give it points for being something other than like a final big battle.
Sure, and I think that is a fair assessment. I do like how this wasn't like a Kaguya situation. This wasn't like, even with Promised Neverland's weird ending. And honestly, I think even it's kind of weird. Attack on Titan, I consider my number one series. It left me conflicted, but I still overall enjoyed what it presented. And I think if I had to compare the two, I would still say that at least this, like Attack on Titan, had me really thinking about its ending. For it's like, okay, how do this all make sense? But this one, at least, I understand why it makes sense.
Yeah,
And I think a rational conclusion to a series makes sense. But I was still had higher expectations for this moment than what we got. So
fair
that's why
enough.
this chapter didn't make my chapter of the week, or
Fair
even
enough.
really my top three.
Fair enough. Overall, the Y-Man as a villain, what do you think of him?
Oh, as a whole, I do enjoy the Y-Man. I kind of will disagree with people who said they found the Y-Man either dumb or just way out of left park. Because of course, the only rational solutions for the final enemies would have been some kind of AI situation, and the fact that they tied it back into the Medusa and all the tie-ins we've had for the last couple of chapters to explain why it all makes sense, as well as the rationale of the Y-Man. It's very interesting. And of course, having a futuristic, this is what the future of science looks like, villain for the very end makes sense. I just kind of wish that the resolution was more satisfying.
Okay.
When we get to it. And yes, guys, that if you're anime only, sorry to have colored your expectations a bit, but the Attack on Titan ending did very much divide the manga community. But I would still say it's very well worth watching the anime to the very end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely a masterpiece of a series.
Where would you like? Because we had Shonology's Ibarra worst villain in Doctor Stone, and he said with Y-Man potentially, with the Y-Man being potentially being Doctor Stone's series-defining villain, where would you rank him in terms of the villains?
That's a good question. Let's see. I love Zeno as a villain, and still probably my favorite. And I think, and then let's see. I also enjoyed what Tsukasa did functionally as a villain early on. I would definitely have Ibarra below Y-Man. So I guess it's just a matter of, would I put Y-Man above Tsukasa? And that's kind of tough, because on one hand, I do like Y-Man as a concept much more than I liked what Tsukasa did, because Tsukasa just felt like a very simple way to set up an antagonist. But the resolution to Tsukasa and his arc is much more interesting than Y-Man. So I guess I would put him below that. So probably it would go Zeno slash Stanley if you want to combine them. I know some people consider them separate. Then Tsukasa, then Wyman, and then Ibarra. I guess.
Okay.
Like, then I would honestly Magma if you want to count him in. I would put him like lower than that, but right above like Hyoga, who
Yeah.
I thought was just kind of just put in at the last minute kind of thing. Well, not like
Yeah.
last minute, he was foreshadowed, but I didn't care as much for his villainy. Actually, no,
Yeah.
I put him above Ibarra. So, yeah, so it would go then,
Uh,
sorry, Zeno slash Stanley, then Tsukasa, Y-Man, Hyoga, Ibarra, and then Magma. I think that's
yeah.
everybody.
I would say for me, it would be I definitely count Cena and Stanley as separate. So I definitely put Stanley as the number one, then Sinu, then Y Man. Like they would be, it would go like that. Then Sukasa, because well, I do agree with Sukasa's resolution and conclusion to his character arc being much more satisfying than in Y Man's. I just feel like Sukasa was just put in there to be just like to be. I would say he was put in there mainly as like the force for Seku to overcome to kind of like get us integrated into the series, whereas Y-Man had a much more impactful presence throughout the series.
I could see that. So, sorry. So you started out with Stanley, then Zeno, then Tsukasa, or
No,
then Y-Man, then Tsukasa.
Stanley, Sinu, then Y-Man, then Tsukasa.
Fair enough. And then Ibarra after that.
Well, I would, yeah, I would say Ibarra, then Kyoga, then Magma.
Okay, that's fair. If I'm counting Stanley as separate from Zeno, then I would have to put him under. That's a good question. Either under Casa or under Y-Man. I want to say I would almost put him under Y-Man, if only because I feel like he would rank higher for me if we spent more time with his Reformation. I think like originally I had Stanley a little lower on my villain list just because he didn't stand out as a character by himself too much for me. But then when we got him back, he really felt like a nice fit for the crew, and I liked what they did with this character, even though I wish they just did a bit more. So I would put him just like right below, I think, Y-Man then, because he's like an interesting character, but as a villain, his whole thing was I just want to save Zeno, which is fair, but it wasn't too interesting. Like he didn't have any
Okay.
point on like American militarism or any of his own ideals. And as a character, he didn't really even reform if you think about it. He was never a bad person.
Okay, yeah. I guess that's why I
That's
like
just me.
him. I guess that's why I like Stanley Moore as a villain, just because he's not really a bad person, but just the lengths he went to how relentless he was chasing them to South America.
And I think that's a fair point because I think that's why I like Ichigo so much as a protagonist. But at the same time, I think that's why Ichigo, while he's like one of my favorites of like the big three, he would rank much lower as my overall shonen protagonist. Like
Yeah.
not much lower, but still lower. So yeah,
Okay.
I do think that's a fair argument for Stanley.
Okay. Also, Sky said, I was a manga reader, but got trolled by Mappa when they announced the final season. I dropped the manga within 5 chapters left, so I could see the end. Okay, that's fair.
Then it was only part one. Yeah, that's fair enough. Part one and
Yeah.
part two did throw me off too, man. And
See,
then Stanley Zeno are so clear. I guess they're also your top
yeah,
villains. And then, yeah,
uh,
I guess you disagree with us on Magma. I will
yeah,
admit he had a bit of a character arc. It's just that he was like the most
yeah.
basic
He was
villains.
he was just an obstacle. That was basically what he was.
Yeah, and
Um,
he had a reformation. So in a weird way, none of the villains in Doctor Stone are bad. Like there's not one bad villain.
yeah. Um,
It's just that they're different ranks of villains.
yeah, yeah. Right, like what was said in Shoranoji's video about Ibarra. Like, in terms of Doctor Stone, yeah, he does rank pretty low, but put him with some other villains, I think he would rank pretty high.
Yeah. Actually, an interesting example is there's a meme going around Twitter where people are memeing on like Tsukimichi because like from the Fullbring arc, and it's funny because we all agree that Tsukimichi was such a terrifying force, but wasn't really talked about too much as a villain, despite being like almost scarier than Aizen in some ways.
Okay. Um, And actually, that's actually question. Sky said, since we ranked our favorite, like, why don't you put in the list for your favorite Doctor Stone villains and
Oh,
antagonists?
actually, since we're also, I guess, near the end, do you want to talk about our favorite arcs and everything? Because I feel
Uh,
like you can say this arc is technically over, even if next
I
time is the
I
conclusion of
feel
the
like
whole
we should.
series.
I feel like we should save that for next time.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah,
That's fair then. I feel like this arc's basically over because, like, one thing we were wrong about is Stanley didn't die. Stanley did
yeah.
not die.
Stanley did not die, which means
In
we
fact,
might actually.
nobody's dead. Nobody died in Doctor Stone except those people Hyoga killed, I
Yeah.
guess, and those statues who we couldn't save.
And Soyuz's dad.
Okay, well, if you want to go there too, then I guess you can count Byakuya and the
Yeah,
astronauts.
yeah.
But
So yeah, well, we might as well wrap up the chapter because we went on a tangent there. We didn't even finish the chapter. So yeah, we
oh, we
have
didn't. Yeah, you're right.
the Medusa, the single Medusa from Treasure Island saying like, "Yeah, you've excited me, so I'm going to wager everything on you guys." Is that acceptable? And Senku says yes, as we see them returning to the capsule, and we get the caption saying, "Wyman abandoned its plans to parasite Earth and vanished into the depths of space. They would never again unleash the Petra beam." Now, when I read this earlier today, that kind of brought a tear to my eye because it made me think like, oh, we're never going to see a petrification beam again. That's going to be something that going to be.
Well, wait, hold on. Our Medusa's still there. It says Wyman abandoned the
All
plan.
right, yeah, but still, it's just like it did bring a tear to my eye just seeing that way. It's like they would never again unleash the Petra beam. Like it's just like, oh, it just feel it just hit me for some reason. Like just like this is wow, it really is coming to the end.
Yep. Okay, fair enough. And then the next thing is as a trophy, as a reward, our trophy was a single piece of futuristic
Futuristic
science.
sites.
And that's why I will disagree with anyone who said like the trip to the moon was wasted because we had to go to the moon to like figure out all this stuff and even like convince our Medusa that it's like of this whole thing because like it didn't even do anything until we got to this point, until we got back to the collective. And then to top of that, we also had to like effectively banish the Y Man, I guess, indirectly. So
Yeah,
we couldn't have just done this with a radio conversation because the Y Man is not open to negotiation. It only even retreated, as I'd like to point out that people I swear are missing, because Stanley was a threat to them and they didn't want to like sacrifice any of their components or any of themselves in because they already lost so many just trying to deal with humanity by itself. Because otherwise, the white man would have just sent another petrification beam to petrify the earth.
yeah,
But now it realizes if it did that, well, humanity is just going to come back and they're going to just do this again.
yeah.
So then it's like, well, this is no point. We're going to leave.
Okay, so we have we have his list. So we have Sinu
Oh,
Stanley, Wyman, Tsukasa, Hyoga, Ibara, Magma. Okay, that's all right. That's all right.
yeah, it's pretty close to, I think, your list, right, Luke?
Yeah, pretty close. I think again I think we're the consensus that there's no bad villain in Doctor Stone. They're just different. There's just different ways we
Yeah, I think
see
the only
them.
difference is the Hyoga and Ibarra thing. I think you liked Hyoga more than we did. And I guess now that I think about it, now that I'm seeing your list, Hyoga did have more of a character arc to him. Ibarra didn't get that. So, you know what? I think I would put Hyoga above Ibarra. Because I just
Okay,
thought
fair enough.
Hyoga made a better, or Ibarra made a better villain. I mean, some people apparently classify him as the only real evil character. But Hyoga, I think, is a better, because he had like more of an arc to him. So
Yeah,
yeah, I might change that for mine as well.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So yeah, we get them back in the capsule as everyone is celebrating, and um, what are they saying bye to?
Uh, I guess the moon.
Yeah,
I guess the moon.
that feels weird, but
It
yeah,
does actually. Now I think about it, I just didn't think about it much when I first read it. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of weird. And yes, guys, that's fair enough. Kyoga, I thought he was kind of cool in the beginning, but I thought like Tsukasa, he didn't really do much. But then when South America hit and we had a conclusion to his arc, I thought, oh, that's really nice. So
yeah.
yeah, I think I would agree that Hyoga is a good character. One I didn't give enough credit for. And by the way,
Okay,
we are forgetting about Homura. Okay, well the thing is, like if we kept
Homura.
we didn't talk about like Kirasame or Moe's.
Yeah,
Like there's a lot of
Homura.
like minor villains that I didn't want to talk about because like a lot of the characters we talked about ended up becoming the main bad guy. Because we didn't talk about Mantle either.
Yeah, Homura, I don't really see as a villain. I feel like she's just someone. She's just in love with yoga.
Well, I mean, she is an antagonist, but I think we were just talking about like the main antagonist
Yeah,
of the series because like even Ukyo was like an antagonist for a short while, and so was Yo.
yeah,
So it's like if we kept going, like there's enough characters we can say, okay, they were at odds with Senku because we didn't talk about like Charlotte or the other Americans. Like we just talk
yeah,
about like the main bad guys. And like if you want like Homura, in my opinion, like with a lot of like characters like Charlotte, also they didn't, I think, get the proper characterization that they should have because they were kind of just attached to like one of the major male antagonists and they were just kind of there to be a love interest for them. And I feel like the next chapter will just be seeing everybody like effectively paired off accordingly. So I think
yeah,
that's just the purpose.
yeah. So anyway, going back to the chapter itself, we have Karaku talking to the Y Man, by saying, "Oh, we had it backwards. If the capsule is turned into a vacuum, Y Man can stay conscious and float around." And Y Man confirms this as we get um, probably what everybody was expecting to happen in this chapter. Like somebody asked the question of like, who created them in the first place? Where did they even come from? And the Y Man basically says unknown,
Yep.
which
Which I was very interested what Shonen Oji's response to that was.
what was his response? Because I haven't seen that.
What I know for this chapter is number one, he finds the Y Man adorable because they drew a little face on the capsule and he's cute now. And two, he doesn't hate this chapter, but I don't think he loves it either. But this particular aspect, I don't think he made a point of just yet. But what were your thoughts on it before I go into it?
My thoughts were like, I guess my thoughts were, yeah, that's about right, because I don't think any answer would be satisfying. So I think it's just best, like, some mysteries are just left unresolved.
And yeah, I think that's a fair response. A lot of other people have said the same. And it's true. If we did get into the alien route, then we do get into the whole, okay, well, I mean, we kind of already indirectly said it, but at least they didn't show a bunch of weird looking
Yeah,
aliens,
and
which
the
I know
Y
was
Man,
a problem
yeah,
for you.
and the Y Man does bring up a good point here. Does your kind compare who or what created you? Does your mind comprehend? Does your kind comprehend who or what created you? Do you possess complete knowledge of your origin? And Senku and Ryusui basically says, yeah, that's kind of come back because we because yes, while some of us can comprehend that, some of us are just like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know where I came from, but at the same time, that doesn't bother me because it's all about my actions at the end of the day.
Yep. And so I am in agreement with you that almost like a non answer here with this explanation is better than like a bad answer. And number two, I'm also glad it kind of also just leaves us fans something to think about. I do like when stories have like a little something for fans to think about at the end of their stories. But the other thing is, as someone who wanted an origin story, as I mentioned before, I think an almost better way they could have just done this without giving us an origin story is the Y Man could have said, is like, okay, well, I know how I was made, and I know how a lot of my younger brethren were made, but I don't know who ultimately invented us way back when. And then that would have made me think, you know what, that kind of makes sense because for us, the reason we don't know our origin to completion, as the Y Man says, is is the fact that one, we can only make estimates based on studies we've done, and then make hypotheses based on those studies and what we observe. And in the Y Man's case, it's pretty similar, where they can only like use the knowledge that they have to make speculation, but at some point they reach like a standstill. So I guess what I would have liked is just like how I could tell like an alien species about the theory of evolution and about how like we have this idea of how life originated on Earth through this way of like having like a primordial soup, which eventually formed into singular cells and evolved and blah blah blah. I felt like the Y Man could have gave us like a hypothesis that they came up with for their origins, or at the very least been like, you know what, we've just been made generation over generation through different species that we just don't know what our original creator species was, or something.
Okay, okay, that's fair enough. That's fair. That's fair. But
But I also
yeah,
don't hate this ending, even as someone who wanted an origin story. So this
yeah,
didn't bother me as much as I thought it would.
yeah. And then and then Kaku basically says, "Yeah, come to think of it, it's a total mystery. What even is life as we know it? Like, oh, getting philosophical here. Like, as the Y Man just basically asks the question again, like, why do you dislike being petrified? Why is promise of eternal life rejected? Why?" And Senku gives the answer that a lot of people would probably give. It doesn't get them excited because basically we're frozen in stone, and that's not exciting in the slightest. And the Wyman just can't comprehend that. Like, it's just inevitably in its capacity, and it sees it as a disadvantage. And Senku's like, "Oh, you're one to talk. Out of all the Wyman, only you chose to stay behind because my idea got you hyped up." Um, and he flashed back to what Wyman said um, about the body is yours to destroy. That excites me, and he says it's got nothing to do with survival. Asking why all these unknowns is what gets us excited. Abnormal or not, we're 10 billion% guaranteed to have that weird urge. One painstaking step at a time. That's how science rolls over the years, before our time, and through the ages to come. And that's where Chad says. So very, very poetic ending of in basically saying to the Y-Men of like, yeah, it has nothing to do with survival. It's just like the idea of like the unknown is what gets us excited, but it can also be terrifying at the same time.
Yep, and I do like how they tied in even the Y Man starting to build up that same scientific curiosity, despite the fact that they were at first were only concerned about survival, which suggests that in a weird way that maybe the Y Man themselves, I don't know exactly how they're connected, but if it is truly a hive mind and there's a connection between them all, maybe like by changing and altering this Medusa, we're going to affect the minds of the other Y Men, and that could be a great way to like have a final conclusion how the Y-Men as a whole changed because this Medusa stuck around with humanity.
Yeah, yeah,
And you know
and
what? That would be a good way to have a character arc
yeah,
for
that would
such an entity.
for an AI entity. Yeah, that would be a great way to have a character arc. Now, question is, what will be in the last chapter?
Well, actually, before that, I do want to make one last mention because I guess you didn't put that on page 23, or sorry, 22. We get like a panel of all the scientists there, and our girl Suika's there.
Oh
Just
yeah.
wanted to point that out. Like,
Well,
look
I
at that.
want to.
Kaseki, Zeno, Byakuya, Chrome, Chelsea, and Suika, all the scientists.
Oh yeah, all the scientists. Oh yeah. Oh, like I just really want just to find out like the scientists that brought the new world together. Obviously minus Byakuya, but the scientists of the new world, like just those guys there on the final panel, like Kosaki, Sinu, Chelsea, Chrome, Suika, and Senku.
Yeah, I would love to see it. The weird thing is now that Senku's mentioned, it's been 10 years. We haven't seen too many people age except for Suika. So hopefully we get in the final chapter some aged up characters
Yeah, some
finally.
age up characters finally. Uh, and actually, one thing we need to find out is are Chalk and Sagare still alive?
Yeah, and Kaseki.
And Kisaki. Yeah. Well, Kisaki obviously will be alive.
I feel like he has to be, but at the same time, it really wouldn't surprise me if we saw people gather around his grave or something.
Oh my god, that would be
And then just
sad.
reminisce. And like the last moment we see of him is actually like a flashback to something he said before then.
Oh
Eh.
my god. Yeah.
It would be because I think at some point we have to talk about like death itself because I don't think we're going to a society where immortality is like going to be the norm. So we kind of need to bring about death in some way. And I think Kaseki is a good character to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can even
But
flash back to his points where he's like talked about, like, oh, I didn't have any friends my age, but I'm glad I got to be friends with you guys or something.
yeah, I'd really love that. Really love that.
The other thing is, we of course need to see what Senku's invention is because he has this cool idea. And I think someone else brought up a good point that we have both our Medusa and all those dead Medusas in South America. So we
Yeah.
can effectively reconstruct a Medusa. We might just almost close to the series where it's like, hey, Senku, we figured out how to make Medusas now. Like, we could just actually end the series with making our own Medusas, our own Y-Man.
Oh, that could
Like
potentially
confront a
be a
god,
case.
and then we end up creating God. That's a
Yeah.
fun way to end the
Yeah,
series.
that would probably be a fun way to end the series. But yeah, that would be something we'll have to speculate until next week. But for now, that is the end of the stream. Thank you for joining us. I hope you all enjoyed it, whoever came, and thanks for the comments. So until next time, peace.